Thank you. At this point, we'll face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and good evening. I want to welcome legal counsel, Mr. David Olivas. Robert Tafoya is not with us tonight, so we'll excuse him and substitute David Olivas. Thank you. Who is also a former council member of the city of Baldwin Park. All righty. At this point, when I ask our city treasurer, Maria Contreras, if we could go into roll call.
Good evening, everyone. Councilmember Cruz Baca.
Here.
Councilmember Susan Rubio.
Present.
Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Monica Garcia.
She is out today, so I'll move to excuse her.
Mayor Manuel Lozano.
Present. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So at this point, council members have anyone they wish to close on everyone's behalf? Yes.
Yes, not on somebody's...
Or recognize.
It's a recognize.
Yes.
I want to recognize Lillian Mower, who turned 100 this past Sunday. Was it Sunday? Tuesday? Oh, sorry.
Wow.
She turned 100. Longtime resident of the city of Baldwin Park, very active in our community, and she was also in the Army during World War II.
Yes.
So she's very, and I would like to see a request if we could put her name on the marquee, please.
Yes,
I think the
absolutely.
family would really appreciate that. And so, and I just want to say thank you to Lillian for all the years of service, especially with the Women's Club as well.
And we've acknowledged her on several occasions here at the City Council as well.
Yes,
so
you
thank
have.
You very much. Appreciate that. Yes.
I'm sorry. I would also just add to that, she did serve in World War II. She was an entertainer. And let's keep in mind when we do the planting of the trees in memory of people, in honor, not memory, in honor of people that done great service to our community. Let's keep her in mind, but we did celebrate with her, so it was a great celebration.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
100 years. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, Councilmember
And Mayor,
Cruz Baca.
also I want to remind those that didn't get a notice, this coming Saturday, September the 10th, our Baldwin Park Police Department is putting together a first responders fundraiser at Santa Fe Dam at 8 o'clock in the morning. Please join us. I have a little team going here with Councilmember Rubio and City Clerk Alejandra Avila, and I'm trying to convince Maria Contreras to join us so that we can see what prizes we can win. But we would love for you to join us. It's at 8 in the morning at Santa Fe Dam.
Yes, and I believe it also includes a 5K run. So
yes, it does.
Right? Okay, thank
you.
you. All right. So, yes,
I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
And last Thursday, I had the pleasure of attending the luncheon, as well as Shannon and some of our staff for Gus Martinez. After 36 years, that retired from our public works. Apparently, he started off, I didn't know, as a lifeguard at the age of 18, went on to being a senior citizens driver, and then went into our public works and was head of our graffiti crew. So he'll be missed, but I told him he better keep driving around at 6 in the morning and letting us know when there's graffiti. So.
All right. Thank you very much for that as well. All right.
Mayor, I would also like to close on behalf of Mr. Levi. I don't know if you guys remember Mr. Levi. He served in this community for a very long time. Yeah, he's just passed over the weekend. I'm not sure how old he was, but he was, I think, his late 90s, I believe. Maybe you guys remember.
Yes.
But let's find out, information on his family so we can send him some condolences.
Wow.
On our behalf. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's important.
Just one thing about Levi, he was very active in the Lions Club and did a lot of volunteering with eyeglasses and so forth for some of the low-income children in our community. He'll be missed.
Yes.
Well, yes,
that's right. That's right. All right. So at this point, any other presentations by council members? All right. If not, we're going to go ahead and go into the presentation that we have, certificate of recognition to the family of Joyce Campbell. All right. For her many years of service in the community. So do we have the family members that are here? All right. So do we have a little background here, Manny? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Yes. Yes. Alrighty. Okay, so this one, I'd like to recognize Joyce Gamble for all the work she did in our community. September 7th council meeting. So she passed away a few weeks ago. but I think she and her family are very much deserved. So recognition. So, Councilman, did you want to go ahead and touch up on?
Yes, there's so much to tell about your mom, about Joyce. Of course, I knew her as Mrs. Gamble when I was at the high school, and she was there at Ballpark High School. I didn't call her Joyce until I joined the Women's Club with her, and she told me, call me Joyce. But there's so many memories, so many wonderful things that you shared the other day, and also we shared at her memorial service Sunday. So thank you so very much for sharing her with us, because it does take a lot of time away from your family when you volunteer like that. She will be missed, but know that her memories and all her sharp wit will stay with us forever. Thank you.
We're going to say something. Yes.
No, I also just want to say, thank you. I mean, I knew your mom for 10 years, as well as Cheryl, of course, and we spent a lot of celebrations together. She was part of the Women's Club, and so was I. So we got to really get to know her, from going gambling to the casinos to just, doing public service. So she was a great lady, so we're going to miss her. Thank you, Mayor.
On behalf of the City of Ballpark, I want to recognize her, of course, for what she's contributed to this community and for the many, many years. And, of course, today doesn't mark the end. Today marks the beginning of us recognizing, celebrating her life and who she was as an individual, a great, compassionate and caring individual that represents the best in humanity. So I want to thank each and every one of you. We do have a certificate, so why don't we bring the family up, and in the meantime, I'll go ahead and read what states on the certificate that reads, in recognition to Joyce Gamble, may she rest in peace. We would like to acknowledge the many years of hard work and dedication Joyce provided to this community, local organizations, for the favorable recognition she brought to the city of Baldwin Park. So thank you very much to the family.
Six siblings.
My mother lived here 57 years.
Come on up here and tell us.
My mother lived here 57 years. It was the only home she and my father bought. They never even thought of living anywhere else. We have 6 children who all graduated as Baldwin Park Braves. Go Braves. Wow. As you know from what Cruz has said, our mother worked at the high school. She was an iconic figure at the high school. Many people know her there. But my mother ended her life concerned about the Women's Club, making sure that we were going to still be concerned with what they do. And she loved the Women's Club, and that was her biggest part of the last 25 years of her life. She volunteered there. But she ended her life with 6 children, 15 grandchildren, 29 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. We all will miss her, but we thank you so much for this honor, because we loved sharing her with you, because that was our mom, but that's who she was. She loved this community. So,
beautiful.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, let's take a picture.
Oh, yeah, we forgot.
Take a few pictures.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Put in the now. Yeah, we're just speaking to Councilmember Cruz Baca. We want to let the family know that we're going to place your mother's picture with a story in the Now, the city newsletter. So it goes out to all 75,000 residents of Baldwin Park. And they recognize an individual, 59 years, who definitely contributed immensely to the city and impacted, literally, I could say, thousands of people within those 59 years of residing in the city of Baldwin Park. So we'll look forward. Our staff will get together so we could obtain a picture and a bio on your mom so we could place it in front of the city newsletter. Thank you very much. All righty.
And I'd also like to acknowledge Margarita Vargas, the president of the Women's Club,
it's
that's
here back
also
there.
out there sitting, that was at the memorial the other day.
That's right. Okay. All right. Thank you. At this point, we're going over to the presentation we have by Robert Cruz. Hey, Robert, where's Robert? Is he? Hey, brother, come on up here. Southern California Gas Company with an update on the Aliso Canyon retrofit and repair project. Nice to see you, Robert.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. So my name is Bob Cruz, Public Affairs Manager for the Southern California Gas Company. I've been a part of the gas company for 40 years, and the gas company has served California proudly for more than 145 years. I have not been with the gas company 145 years. Just want you to be sure of that. And I know Terry Muse in the audience. She heard this presentation last night. So Terry, just bear with me. We are the largest gas utility in the U.S. We're serving about 22 million customers through about 6 million meters. We basically have 3,700 miles of gas transmission lines, and those are the big 36-inch lines that come in from Arizona. If you drive down Blythe going to Arizona right off before you hit the Arizona border, there's a huge transmission station. So those are the transmission lines. We have 100,000 miles of gas main, and those are the ones that go down the middle of the street. And off those gas mains are service lines which feed your homes, our apartments, and businesses. As a gas company, we have 135 billion cubic feet of gas storage capacity, and 3% of that is basically the U.S. capacity. This next slide gives you a really quick sense of the size. We are the largest natural gas distribution company in the nation. We go from El Centro near the Mexican border all the way to Visalia. We serve the entire Southern California region, with the exception of Long Beach and Vernon. They have their own natural gas distribution system. So we are a large system. But I want to talk to you a little bit about our natural gas storage. Unlike Edison, we have the capability to store natural gas. It's a critical element of the SoCal gas delivery system, which serves millions of homes and businesses in Southern California, especially here in the LA Basin, which Baldwin Park is part of that. We operate 4 natural gas storage fields in our service territory. Aliso Canyon being the largest. I'll get to that in a few minutes, but I want to mention that we have one near Magic Mountain at Honor Rancho, which serves part of the LA Basin. We have a storage field up in Goleta, which serves the northern coastal area. And we have one in Playa del Rey, which serves the western part of LA and helps support the peak demand in LA Basin. But part of the reason that natural gas storage fields are so important to our system is that it helps us keep the cost down to our consumers and businesses. By being able to inject and withdraw gas and basically meet the peak demands of our customers, we're able to keep our prices down. And if I raise of hands, if you raise your hand, what is your lowest bill? It's usually Edison's your highest, water, and possibly natural gas is your lowest. So we like to keep it that way. Now we have a challenge, though. And that challenge was caused by a methane leak at Aliso Canyon. We have 114 wells there. One of the wells started leaking on October 23rd, 2015. There were 7 attempts to come in through the wellhead from the top, and all 7 were not successful. We brought in experts from all over the country to help us in regard to this, and finally it was decided to drill a relief well, which began drilling December 4th, which went in from the side. Which basically that well, from the top to the bottom of the reservoir, it's about 2.5 miles deep. So they had to go in from the side, so it started drilling December 4th. We intercepted the leak on February 11th, 2016. The Division of Gas and Geothermal Resources confirmed that the well was permanently sealed on February 18, 2016. And then there was a lot of activity, a lot of political activity, the legislature, Senate Bill 380, Fran Pavley, basically said you cannot inject or withdraw gas from that well, so it's completely shut down until it goes through a rigorous process, which is it's going through right now. Out of the 114 remaining wells, 100% have gone through phase 1, and about 84% of the remaining wells have gone through phase 2. There's 2 phases of inspection that are going on right now that were mandated by SB 380. So we're doing our part. We're working towards operating Aliso Canyon by late summer, which is already getting there. So we're saying hopefully by early October, mid-October, we should be in a position to have Dogger basically say you can, or make the recommendation to the Public Utility Commission to start operating this storage field again. We've learned a lot from efficiencies in operations. We're using infrared now to install them on the 114 remaining wells. We're also requiring our non-core customers to more closely match their natural gas deliveries with the amount they plan. So we're asking them, make sure you plan carefully in terms of using the gas you need on a given day to help conserve. So promoting energy conservation is a huge message. I have gone on your website, and I appreciate Sean and Yahtzee and his staff posting conserve energy messages, whether it's gas, electric, or even water. So I know you're proactive in that regard. So preserving and conserving energy is huge. One of the things I also wanted to mention is we cannot raise our prices. We cannot arbitrarily raise our prices until we develop a rate case that goes before the Public Utilities Commission. They're the ones that say, yes, you can or you cannot. So we have to build a rate case. We can't arbitrarily raise them. We still are able to maintain our gas prices at a lower cost. But with San Onofre being online a few years, and 60% of all electricity that's generated in Southern California depends on natural gas. During the summertime, it's 75%. There is a critical interdependency between the electric, and Edison is one of our largest customers, and the natural gas company. So Edison, we're kind of joined at the hip. One of the reasons that we were able to kind of get through the summer, I mean, still September's left, is that we worked with our other utilities. Conserve Energy, SoCal Gas, so Edison, SoCal Gas, PG&E, SDG&E, Southwest Gas, all got together to basically help start educating our customers and getting the message out through flex alerts, articles, having cities post articles and information on their websites to conserve energy. So you get the flex alerts, don't operate your appliances after 6 p.m., conserve, conserve, conserve. So that's one of the reasons we've been able to navigate the summer. We still have the winter, and if typical Southern Californian, in the summer we run our ACs when it gets hot. In the winter when it gets cooler, we run our heaters. But I think if we get through the summer, our hope is to have this storage field up and running so we can start injecting and storing the gas to help keep our prices down. So what is our ask of you? Stay engaged. Part of what I'm here tonight to do is to help you understand a little bit of the complexity and the growing interdependence of natural gas and electricity. Like I mentioned, 65% or 60% of all electricity generated depends on natural gas. In the summer, it goes up to 75%. I wanted to share a little bit about what efforts are being taken to bring Aliso Canyon back online safely, expeditiously, and in compliance with new regulations. As I mentioned, SB 380 is one of the new regulations and bills that mandates this. Help us educate the community at large through the ability to post the information. And again, I appreciate the city manager, Shannon, and his staff for posting information. We'll continue to send that and continue to do that as well. Use our team, me being the team member, public affairs manager. So if there's other service clubs or other organizations that you'd like me to come and present to, I've done Kiwanis, I'll do Rotary, I'll do any group that we can educate. Let me know, and I'd be happy to come out and do some of that. And again, just please help conserve energy. And again, Baldwin Park has been very proactive in that regard, and I thank you for that. At this time, if there's any questions.
Council members have any questions? Yes. Councilor Cruz-Baca.
I just have one short question.
Sure.
For a change. When you shut down the source like you did in Aliso, Where do you get the gas to be able to accommodate the residents and the businesses around there?
Great question, Councilwoman Baca. So I mentioned 3 other storage fields. Where we buy our gas, we have a gas acquisitions department that buys gas for our system. And they usually buy it at a low cost, and we can store it and maintain that low cost. Without a lease, we can still use the other 3 to help balance that. But if the demand gets too strong, then we have to rely on more out of state. And most of the gas that we purchase comes from the Permian Basin, it comes from Canada, it comes from Wyoming, Texas. We have the ability to store it, but we need this Aliso storage field because it is one of our largest. It is our largest and the 5th largest in the United States. So we do buy the gas from other sources. We're trying to work with other utilities to try to conserve so they don't run or the demand of electricity doesn't spike. But again, with San Onofre being offline and this storage field being down, we're just trying to work with all the utilities to help get the word out. So that has helped, and hopefully it'll help get us through the winter. You're welcome.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Forgive me if I lost the information somewhere in your presentation. Did I hear you say you have 114 wells?
115. The one that was leaking has been shut down. Will never come into operation.
Okay, and so it doesn't affect the other 114.
Right. So we're in the process of going through a rigorous testing process for those remaining 114 wells.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions? Just want to thank you, Robert. You do an excellent job as well. So
I appreciate that.
I have one more question.
Yes, so
there was a video in your presentation. I think it said critically important, and you said it was an educational video. It's on your website. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Is it easy to download? I think I would like to put it on our website so when people look at our website, they can also get that information. Would that be okay?
That would be fine. In fact, if the link doesn't work, because I know at the end of this so if it's not live, I can send you the link. So that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
I just have a question for Bob. How long will Aliso Canyon be out? I mean, do you guys have any timeline? Do you think it'll be back online? Or?
Well, since January of this year, Councilman, it's been shut down. And so the hope is until we complete the rigorous inspection of all 114 wells, Dogger has to sign off on it. Then that recommendation from Dogger and then they'll have a public hearing. And then it has to go to the CPUC, and they will make, based on the recommendation of Dogger and the test results. So we're thinking, realistically, we're hoping by the end of summer, but we're thinking October, mid-October, or late October is really what we're hoping to have that storage field back in operation. Okay?
all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Robert.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. So at this point, we don't have any other presentations, I believe. So we're going to go ahead and go into the public communication. Anyone wishing to speak? Yeah, approximately 3 minutes. All right. Thank you. I'm going to keep this. Oh, my God. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Ken Woods, a resident. Regarding last meeting, I'd like to apologize for Councilman Pacheco being such a buffoon. Mayor, you want to hear ridiculous? Here's ridiculous. At the last meeting, Councilman Pacheco brought up that unfinished Park Plaza 7 times. 7 times he brought it up. But he failed to mention he was the one who mustered the vote to stop that project and bring in apartment buildings. I kind of forgot that little fact. Also, 7 times he brought up the fact that the project was over budget. 0.4% of 1%. 0.4% of 1% over budget. Though he failed to mention he was responsible for spending $52,000 of our hard-earned tax dollars to get a restraining order against Mr. Tuttle, which was kicked out of court. Mayor, that's ridiculous. One more thing. Do I have time? Oh, I got time for one more. Councilman Pacheco, you said you weren't the king. I believe you. You're not the king. You're the clown prince of this council.
All right.
Hello, City Council, Baldwin Park residents. Everybody that lives in Baldwin Park would like to know, why do you got to spend our money foolishly? We have two ladies trying to say, don't spend the money till we know what it's for. And you other three, you don't care. I know I don't tell enough people in this city, but you guys don't care. Mr. Pacheco, the mayor, and Senora Lady, whoever she is. You guys work for all of us residents, not for 1, 2, and 3. Why can't you guys understand that? And that lady, they ain't here today. I know you look at me like, there he goes again. This one, I'm sorry, senora, and this other senora over here, they ask for proof. Where are you spending this money? Well, let me tell you, Mr. Pacheco, I'm not a contractor, but if you are, you're very terrible. You don't know that spending Baldwin Park money belongs to all of us, not to you, not to the mayor or Garcia. It belongs to 75,000 people that live in this city. You don't understand that. That's why everybody has to jump on you. Don't you understand that? Or you don't care? You go to church, I'm assuming, but that don't help. Anyhow, these two ladies want proof of stuff. You people take forever to bring up proof. What's the matter with you people up here? All of you folks work for the city of Baldwin Park. You should pressure these three people, and if they threaten your job, bring it out in the public so we can get rid of them. They're not supposed to do that. They know it. So does the lawyer. So does the mayor, especially the mayor. He's the top chief here. But he acts like a flunky. I'll do whatever the other two do. That's okay with me. Well, you people got to get off your horses. Somebody abuses you, throw the book back at them. Don't be afraid of anybody here. Anybody in this room can be told, walk a straight line or get out and go somewhere else. That's all it amounts to. You spend my money. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mr. Pacheco. You spend $20,000 or $50,000 to $120,000. You don't know where it goes for 30 days. I could come and borrow $150,000 or $120,000, and I could use it to remodel my home and tell you, well, somebody took it. You have no proof. I could spend money foolishly and you'd accept it. And that's the way you run this city. You don't run this city. Us residents live here run this city. Until the day that you understand that, you're going to be told every meeting that we come to. And I got a lot of meetings to come to. So you better be, I'll tell you one thing. I'm running out of time. Hey, by the way, I'm going to change that. Thank you.
Hello, Council. I'm Cliff Donati. I've got a real small problem. I've lived here on Downing since 60, just in Baldwin Park my whole life. We've got when you come out of Estella onto Main, there's a fire plug there. Used to be painted red. When you enter Main Street, it's very difficult in the early morning to do that, because when they leave the signal at Los Angeles Street, it's like Carroll Speedway. They're in a hurry. And if there's cars parked there, especially a pickup truck with where you can't see through, anyway, it needs to be done. I talked to Mr. Lopez. He he was sympathetic, but he talked to Dr. Daniel Wall. We're getting nowhere with this. It's been about 3 months. And if you look on Olive, they've painted it really nice. They fixed it, and there's a lot of cars now on Estella. There's a lot of cars in Baldwin Park. There are multiple families living in homes. And I'd just like to know if you could give me some help, or I seem to be getting nowhere. For some reason, there's a restaurant on the corner, and their business is there, and I can understand. I told him there's no need to come around the corner. It's just so we can, it's kind of the same problem on Phelan. There's just so many cars. I mean, the people on the Stella can't even find room to park anymore. They bring in their cars up on Downing. So if we could get that, just that 115 feet painted there, would be a big help. There's going to be a bad accident. There just is. Sometimes you have to go right and then go up and go around. All right, thank you.
We're going to have Mr. Sam Gutierrez, if you could take the name and number, and make sure you let the council members know after the status.
All right,
thank you very much. All right, moving along with public communication. Anyone else wishing to speak public communication? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name...
I want to lower that microphone. Thank you very much.
I'm
Yes,
too
ma'am.
short, right?
Good evening. That's fine.
Okay. Good evening, the mayor and the mayor pro and the council members, all the people in this room. I would like to have a good news to the Baldwin Park auditoriums. Going to be under the name The Prize of Thailand. We're going to have a show in the auditorium performing arts center on the address 4640 Main Street on the September 17, which is the free event. I would like to invite you, everybody, to my concert, which it means the musician come from Thailand. And the composition that I brought in this auditorium will be the composition from His Majesty, the King of Thailand.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and also for the audience, I already invite some of the city and the police department, and include the city order who I know them. So on the September 17, we'll be present the Thai classical dance, and then the little Thai food to be as the hors d'oeuvre at the lobby, on the auditorium performing arts. So I would like the mayor and all the council member, on the mayor pro, if you have time, could you please go to my concert and include everybody if you can go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you have any flyers? Do you have flyers?
I have the invitation. I already give it. I do not have the flyer,
Okay.
but
Mayor, can I clarify just a little bit, just to make sure? This is on September 17th, the Thailand Classical Dance at the PAC Center, correct, on Main Street? Is that where you're having it, on Main?
on Main, yeah,
What time?
4640 Main Street, right?
And what time is that?
Pardon?
What time?
Oh, I'm sorry. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
5 p.m. to 8? Okay.
From the 5 p.m. to 5:45 will be at the lobby. It will be the show Thai instrument, just to be the sample, and they have a Thai hors d'oeuvre and some kind of drink, and all the council member, the mayor, and they all in here will meet the Thai American people, which is they're going to be wear the Thai costume, the tradition. So going to be your reception.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marie, could we get her phone number so we get in contact with you? We need, go ahead. If you could walk over and she'll give it to you. You could give it to her.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So much.
Looking
Thank
forward.
you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. Thank you. All right, moving along with public communication. Come on up. Thanks, Marie.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Chavarri. I live in Baldwin Park. I would like to address this issue to the members here, and I addressed this issue before via email. The first one is there is road traffic, heavily traffic, between Royston Street and Syracuse, which it has some accidents in the past. You can collaborate that with the police department. It's because there is not a stop sign there or a speed limit between Syracuse and Royston Street. The only signs is by the Taco, that is Ramona and Syracuse, and by then the cars goes motorcycle very fast, right? So I would like to know if you can do something about it, if you can put a sign there, either to limit the speed or to put a stop sign. Like I said, it was an accident a few days before, and people also, there's some, they call donuts, and nobody does anything. The police went over there, but like I say, if a stop sign can reduce these kind of incidents. The second issue that I would like to address is the homeless that are in our community. They are taking over our streets, especially in the 605 freeway and Ramona Street. You know, they are undressed in front of our children, in front of our citizens, and they have to be removed. You know, I understand compassion, but these people need to be removed because sometimes even in the restaurant by Del Taco, they go over there, they trade employees, and we cannot be living like that. So those are my two requests, and I hope that you can take a look on that, especially the first one, because like I say, I'm going to share some picture with some of the members that I was emailing in the past. Right. So we took a picture of the accident that happened and some of the the tears that are in the roads as well.
All right. Okay, we could have a Public Works, Sam, we could get his number and kind of follow up on that as well. This gentleman, we could, all right. Thank you. Good evening.
Okay. Good evening, all council members. My name is Juan Gutierrez. I live right here in Bogart Street on the north side, on the east side of the Park Plaza. I have a complaint about all the trash is coming out of the Superior Market. Okay. And the reason I'm tired of sweeping my car because we only have the sweeper coming twice a month, the second and the fourth Wednesday of the month. And we would like to have Baldwin Park nice and clean, but I don't think we're doing a proper job. Even though there's a man that he cleans every morning on the shopping center, but still in the afternoon, all the wind comes from the west to the east side, and I live on the east side of the shopping center, and I get all the trash from them. That's one of the items that I would like to maybe address or do something about it, please.
Okay.
And the other thing is sometimes it's 4:30 in the morning. It's just a nuisance. You know, the noise of the Metrolink conductors is terrible every morning. I mean, I'm tired of that because people are sleeping, and also all the community wakes up so early. Because not only that, they have to cross Ramona and they have to cross Main Street, and there's a lot of noise from the conductors. The way they do things, I don't like it. Maybe we should have an ordinance like in Pasadena. They don't have that. Why can't we have an ordinance like that here? I don't know. Maybe something will address to the Metrolink company to do something about it, or less noise, or I don't know. Maybe people here, they want to say something about this. I don't know. And also my neighbor, he came with me addressing about the trash on the side of the curb. He also gets it also. He's right here with me. His name is Joaquin Martinez. You can get up.
I didn't. All right.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Just to let you know, what we have met with an organization, with the Metro, and had a meeting here. It was packed with a lot of people.
It's just too much.
We're working on a process. It's a long-term project, but we're working on it. And then we'll go ahead and follow up with Superior if we can about the trash. Okay, so
maybe we should have the sweeper every day coming into my house.
Sam, do me a favor, give us the information so we get involved. So this gentleman will talk to you, okay?
All right,
thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Mayor, may I add to that? I was thinking about the Superior the other day because I passed by there and I wasn't too happy. I know that when we allowed them to come in, we had very strict rules about the cleanliness of the shopping center. So I think it's time maybe, Shannon, we visit with the owner to make sure that they're following all the regulations. It was very specific about what they needed to do, and I think that includes the trash on the sites. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, good evening.
The reason that I'm here is because I had a son that he's a homeless. And he's been arrested for a few little things, probably stupid things, but every time that I arrested, they send a bill to my house for $170 for a booking fee. As a homeless, he can't afford it to pay. I help him to pay one time, but since I depend on my Social Security check benefits, I can't afford it to keep paying. Why the city, my idea is, why the city don't do this? If they arrested and he owns $170, don't give him a public work. Clean the Morgan Park. Watch your cars over there in the parking lot to cover the money they you charge you. And besides that, what the city of Baldwin Park is doing for the homeless. Day by day, increase the amount of homeless. And I don't see the city doing anything for them. I've been volunteering for 2 years in a row, counting the homeless, one time with her last year, and they're not doing nothing. I assume that you receive money from the federal government or grants over there for the homeless, and nothing happened. I feel sad to say that my son is a homeless, but nothing I can do. He doesn't want to go to my house. The doors are open, but every time that I arrested for loitering or whatever for stupid things, $170. What this money goes?
Are you finished? But go ahead.
Yeah, I want to know
you know what? I'm
what
going
they're going to do for them.
I'm going to refer you over to Captain Parnell in the back there. And just to let you know, there are resources for homeless, but those particular individuals need to also make that effort of wanting to be a part of those housing that's provided for them. It's not long term, but at least it's a process itself. So we do have them available because we do fund them. And the county, as you know, took a major count several months back. And hopefully sometime in the future we'll get major funding throughout the state of California where we're able to facilitate them, because it is a growing problem, not only in Baldwin Park, but throughout the whole state. Okay.
Mayor?
Yeah,
Yes,
the
Councilmember.
whole world.
In regards to the homeless, I sit on an ad hoc committee that's dealing right now with a lot of the homeless problem. It's not just Baldwin Park. Right. I know that we live in Baldwin Park and we feel close to what's going on here, but we are working on something that can be done together as collaboratively as different cities, with West Covina, with El Monte, with La Puente, with whatever cities that are surrounding us that are having the same problem. We are trying to work on that so that in the near future we can try to get funding. But as the mayor said, a lot of those people don't want to come off the street. And that's very unfortunate, but we are working on trying to come up with a solution. We are.
The city of Covina, when they arrested somebody, they don't send booking fees. It looked like it come out of the budget, too.
That, I don't know. But let me refer you over to Captain Parnell, and he'll assist you.
You got a chance, walk around over here, Francis Quito, but Market, Target over there, or Los Angeles, but Merced and everything, you're going to see the big amount of homeless now.
I've seen them.
Years back, he wasn't. Now he goes up and up and up. If we don't do something, pretty soon the whole streets is going to be full of homeless. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hope you do
Appreciate
something.
that. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going, guys? All right, I just wanted to expand on what my Ricardo Chavarri said. My name is Andres Chavarri, and I just wanted to expand on what he was saying was that on our street on Syracuse, we live on Royston. On our street on Syracuse, I can guarantee you, if you were to just put a police car there, you'd be on the meter, you'd be checking that they'd be going at least 60 miles an hour. And it's every holiday that this happens. Most of the time, it could be every other day, but you will see this occurrence mostly on holidays. Labor Day, 4th of July, Christmas, any holidays, you see them speeding, doing their drifting, all that crap that goes on. And now we have huge marks of like evidence of where you can see that they drifted. Nobody was there to see it. I think what would help to stop that problem is if you guys put more cops. And I understand it looks kind of suspicious that we have a lot of cops around the area, but I can guarantee you that those type of things won't happen anymore. And the reason why I'm saying that is because around my neighborhood, the kids go out and play, okay? Because they're normal kids. They don't stay inside. They go out and play, I'm pretty sure after they do their homework, and they're running across the street. And I understand they don't use crosswalks, but that's because there's like no crosswalks. There's about 2 that I've seen, okay? I drive around, okay? And I'm not putting anything against the police, but I would like them to help us out and stop that problem. There's a stop sign, but it's all the way close to the end of the street, and that's not helping anything. And we did talk to one of you guys, and you guys told us that the police you can't put speed bumps there because the police have to get into the freeway. And we understand that. And a couple of days ago, a drunk driver And he told us when he crashed into a car. Can you imagine if there was kids there? Okay, where we live, there's a bunch of kids. If there was kids there, I guarantee you I'm pretty sure it would be worse of a problem than we have now. Okay? And I would just like for that to be happening and to help us out with that problem. Okay? And he told us it was not the first time. So it's happened before. And another thing I would like to address is that a couple days ago, nobody was there. People were sniffing lines right across our house. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think I have to expand on what sniffing lines mean. You guys all know what cocaine is. Okay? And they were putting their music really loud about marijuana. And I understand that doesn't mean that they're smoking marijuana, but we saw them clearly. Okay? And no police was around there. And I just would like to address that on that street right there, on Royston, those houses, I guarantee you'll catch someone. And you see when you see shoes on top of a line, we all know what that means. That means that there's drugs being sold there. So just please, if the cops or anything can just come around every other day, I guarantee you it'll help our problem, because it's getting worse and worse. And it's happening, and it's increasing every day, every weekend. More and more people are doing drugs.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Captain Bernal, we could follow up on that just to let you know. The speed bumps, I know we brought them up on many occasions, and I know that we were funded for just the school sites, even though I have requested and the council members, I should say, in general, looking at placing them in some of the neighborhoods, because a lot of them want them, because you have a lot of speeders. Very familiar with Syracuse. You got a lot of people that are connecting out to the 605, so they're cutting shortcuts through there. But we'll definitely have the law enforcement, the captain that's right behind you, follow up and let us know. Okay? Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening, all the members of the Council of Baldwin Park.
Good evening.
My name, it doesn't matter nothing. It don't mean nothing to you guys. Because in the past, I was active on all the meetings. Thank you. All the meetings. And for some reason, I'm not interested no more in those meetings. But at this time, I come over here because I hear it about the nature park. I live on Hansel Street, and I'm living there for almost 40 years. And I hear it when they're remodeling or finish to whatever they're doing, they're planning to open the door on Hansel Street. And I'm against that because at this time, you see it, it's a closed street. And at this time, a lot of people going there, sometimes speeding a lot. And a lot of kids jumping the fence, and I don't know what they're doing over there. Now that's why I'm here at this time. And I hope from now on I'm going to be more active on those kind of meetings, because I concern to my community, to my neighborhood. And also, the other complaint I got is I walk every morning, I walk around the neighborhood, and I notice it. Every day, the street is full trash. I don't know, the people, they don't understand, but that's none of my concern. Probably you guys, take care. Put some more cameras or whatever. You see working on a Garvey, on 3 days, it's full trash. And, this are the things I can do nothing but. The main concern is my neighbor live on Hansel Street, plus the neighborhood. Don't do that. Don't open the doors on the nature park. If you got a card with your signature, with a stamp, and I can collect the signatures around there, it might help. And I appreciate for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. Good evening, everyone here. For those who don't know me, my name is Andre de la Victoria. I'm the owner-operator of Grocery Outlet in Main Avenue. Mr. Mayor, I am here to express once again our commitment to the city of Baldwin Park. I heard that there will be a fundraising by the police on the 20th, if I'm not making mistake.
This coming weekend.
And this coming weekend, we are committing a basket of grocery for that activity. And like I said, I'm expressing our continuous commitment to the city, and let us know where are the areas that we could contribute constructively in the city. That's all I want to say, and thank you so much again for your time.
And thank you, and your wife as well, Ms. Andre de la Victoria. Oh, but isn't Terry Muse?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff, and residents. My name is Terry Muse from Waste Management, and I wanted to give you a biannual update on all the activities that have been happening at Waste Management in Baldwin Park. One of the things that happened during spring and summer was there were actually 2 truck fires that happened, thankfully not in Baldwin Park. One was Laverne, one was San Dimas. And so it got us thinking that we probably needed to really have some training with the fire departments, because we have compressed natural gas trucks, which are different than normal trucks, and the firefighters did not know how to put them out properly. So very dangerous things can happen if a compressed natural gas truck is not put out properly. So we actually had Station 29 from Baldwin Park come out to our facility, and we did a training with them. They were very receptive. There's their picture right there, learning the proper way to actually put out a trash truck fire. They were so happy with the training, they asked us to visit numerous other departments. So we went to Covina, Azusa, Claremont. We made the rounds. So it was a great training. And we just wanted to remind people that people are still barbecuing. Don't put hot coals in your trash or recycle bin when it gets cooler weather and you have fires. Please do not put hot embers in your trash or recycle bin. And also do not put batteries. Those 2 fires that we had were from batteries being placed in the trash can, making the connection with metal. So it's really important that you dispose of them properly. Also, I'd always like to give an update on all the recyclables that we're picking up in Baldwin Park. In the first 6 months, we actually picked up over 5,000 tons of recyclables. And our largest recyclable item was green waste. It still continues to be. That actually made up 2,900 tons was from green waste. Also, we picked up 97 tons of bulky items. And that is actually 3 and 4 times more than we pick up in our other cities. So while people are taking advantage of the free bulky item pickup every Friday, we can never express enough awareness about the fact you need to call in and schedule it to get it picked up. On the back side, I have some of the organizations in Baldwin Park that we supported, such as different organizations, including the Earth Day event. And also we had our scholarship and our internship winner, Kelvin Parra and Audrey Flores, that participated this year in that program, and it was our honor to award them each $2,500. One final thing, I always like to get a recycling Mythbusters. Please don't put any plastic bags, bubble wrap in your recycle bin, or any large items like kids' swimming pools, fencing, shower curtains, etc. Those don't go in the recycle bin. They're, those you have to take, put them in your trash, or take them to some place like Allen Company that can handle large items. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that,
Terry, may I ask a question real quickly? Are those kids from our schools, from the Baldwin Park schools? Can you share what schools they're from?
Sure. Actually, they're both from Baldwin Park High School. Kelvin Parra, he is attending UC San Diego, majoring in oceanography. He wants to create power from water that comes out of the storm drains. He's got an idea that he can create energy from that. Audrey Flores is actually, she'll be a senior this year. She was a junior last year. And she'll be coming to a future council meeting to make a presentation about a special recycling project we're doing in Baldwin Park. That we're kind of trying to keep it low-key because we're doing a test group and we're doing another group. We're doing a lot of education to see if we can increase recycling through education. So she'll come give you a report on all of that.
And just to clarify, are you reaching out to North Park as well? I know it's a little different, but I really would like those kids to also be encouraged, so we can figure out some way to maybe offer one scholarship to that school in
We always
a different
do.
capacity.
We the one requirement is they have to be a Baldwin Park resident. So we send them to the applications to North Park, Sierra Vista, Baldwin Park High School. We also send to Bishop Amont because we know a lot of students go there because they live in Baldwin Park. So yeah, we do, and so we get several applications, and they go through a screening process. And this year it happened to be those two. Our first year we did give a North Park scholarship to somebody.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening.
I'm waiting for her to pass the copies to you.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you.
Right, good evening, Danny Damien, resident. I've provided copies to each one of you guys because I don't want to be accused of lying or fabricating any information. Some of the questions that I have and what you guys have in front of you are some paid invoices and copies of checks paid to AAE Incorporated, also known as Advanced Applied Engineering, DBA Infrastructure Engineers. A couple questions that I have here. You have an interim building official who you guys are paying $13,980 a month to do the work that you guys could actually hire someone to do it for staff. Not only are you guys paying an interim building official at the tune of $120 an hour, you guys are making these payments out to actually Advanced Applied Engineering. So the building official here is Robert McCollum. We don't know what he's actually getting paid because that's being paid by that corporation. On top of that, you guys are paying this corporation 65% of your revenue from all building permits. I mean, that alone is just ridiculous. How would you give away 65% of your profits to another corporation, which you're already paying almost $14,000 a month to have an interim building official there? On top of that, you guys are paying a general on-call fee, and you guys are paying someone to go out and inspect whatever work that they went and inspected. For instance, on here, you guys have an invoice for the general on-call, which is to a Ken Putnam for 4.5 hours at $129 an hour, and a Darla Lakamoski at 1 hour at $69 an hour. I mean, if you guys want to help our community, there's a lot of people that are qualified to do these jobs that you guys can hire as a full-time employees and receive full benefits. I mean, as a business owner, I mean, this is just the beginning of what you guys are paying. You guys are paying for bus shelters, banner. You guys are also paying for what is this? I'm sorry, I got to go through all these invoices. It's the school, back to school routes, engineering services. Another one that you guys are paying is scheduling of projects for the community development director or department. Isn't staff capable of scheduling the projects instead of paying $2,158 to this corporation to schedule projects for the community development director? I'm pretty sure that you can hire someone as a clerical staff, maybe paying them $15 an hour to schedule these projects. What you guys are doing here is you guys are giving away the city's revenue, which is our tax money, to this corporation, and this should be investigated. This is no joke.
All right,
this
thank you
is
very much.
really bad.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, moving along with public communication. What do I do with my pen? Favorite pens.
John Rios, resident. I would like to find out where does Manny get almost $250,000 a year from the city, okay, as a park director? He can even manage a park, okay? Over the weekend, Barnes Park was free-for-all for the soccer league. The park is already, their grass is all run down. It's worse than it was before. We get Morgan Park over here too, and it's all trash. You can't handle it, Manny. You can't handle it. You have tournaments going over there on the weekend. The residents from that area called me up so I could go see them. I did go over there. There was a couple of police officers right there, a couple of cars and everything. I did not stop to talk to the police officers because I said, you know, there were people drinking there. The trash that was left behind, it was totally mess. The President of the United States gets $400,000. How can you $250,000? Come on, give me a break. Come on, Mayor. You guys have to snap out of it. You know, Shannon is the CEO. Come on, Shannon. Look at what's happening. Just don't be somebody's puppet. Okay, that's what you guys are doing. Oh, you guys going to do this? Okay, here, I'm going to give you a little raise, okay? What happened to the street fair? It's a flop. You know. Last year, totally success. But Mr. Pacheco, oh no, we're going to have to put somebody over there. You know. Gee, my God, you guys are getting ridiculous. The investigation that Susan wanted, you guys had to shut it down because why? The truth's going to come out. Somebody's pocketing the money. Somebody's taking a kickback. Somebody's getting a brown bag someplace. Okay? There's too much money that's just going out here, going there. Our finance director, she should be able to tell us exactly what each contract is being paid. Don't be afraid that they're going to fire you because you say something out of hand. That's one thing that the mayor says. You guys don't have to be afraid.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, moving on with public communication. Come on. Anyone else wish to speak? Oh, go ahead. You can come up. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Proud, and I am a lifelong resident here of Baldwin Park, and I am honored to stand before you today with the American Cancer Society Relay for Life event. Along with me is Roxanne Bickham. She is the American Cancer Society community manager. We're excited to be here this evening and share a little bit of information with you in a conjoined effort between our city, our school district, as well as residents and business owners. We have been able to raise over $500,000 in almost 10 years. So for that, it's exciting for me as a resident and as an employee of the school district that for a 24-hour period of time, this entire community can set aside whatever differences we may have with one another and come together for a greater good. And we've seen that not only in the participants, but as well as in the funds that have been raised over the past 10 years for this event. There are a few recognitions we would like to make this evening. We have some community sponsors who have graciously donated their time and funds to making sure this event happens. The first one is Aaron and Irma Morales. They are the owners of Aaron's Mobile DJ. They not only donate their equipment, but they donate their time, and they have so for the past several years, as well as have served on the planning committee for this event. We also have Jeff Coronado from Structuring Engineering Consultant. We have Annette Coronado from SCE Federal Credit Union. And we also have Henry Zamora, the general manager from Courtyard by Marriott. He graciously provides breakfast for our survivors on the Saturday morning of the event. Our school district is also a major part of the success of this event. Mr. Froylan Mendoza, our superintendent, he gladly provides whatever resources we need to ensure that this event happens. One of those is the use of Baldwin Park High School. And the principal there is Mr. Anthony Ippolito, and he generously hosts this event every year. And whatever we ask for, he is more than happy to provide for us, including personnel there. I know the custodians are always more than happy to help make sure that our event stays clean for the entire 24-hour duration, as well as before and after for setup and for cleanup. We also would like to thank our school police for providing safety patrol. They also do tend to take the field and walk a few laps during their time there, and their presence is greatly appreciated by all of our participants. We'd also like to thank our city. Again, as a city, we have done amazing things to make this event happen. Council Member Cruz Baca, we appreciate your time in joining us this year and participating in our opening ceremonies. We'd also like to thank Mayor Manuel Lozano, who also was a participant and came back again to participate in the 5K in the evening, and I have your T-shirt.
Oh,
we have not forgotten you.
All right, thank you.
I seem to be the deliverer of T-shirts, so this one is yours. And again, the Baldwin Park Police Department for, again, patrolling our area, ensuring our safety. It is a 24-hour event, and for all of the years that I've participated, there's never been an instance where I felt unsafe during this event. So again, we appreciate the efforts of everyone in the city for making this happen. You have been given a Save the Date card. One last person, I am so sorry. Manuel Carrillo, our Director of Recreation and Community Services, again, working hand in hand with making sure that this event is a success and providing different materials and items that we need. So thank you very much for that. You have the Save the Date. We hope to see all of you guys there on May 20th to be a part of this.
Oh.
Some certificates.
Oh, yeah, you could come up here.
A couple of you that were there
Yeah,
as well.
come on up. Up to the dais.
As well as our sponsorship award to.
Yeah, might as well. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome.
It's always a really beautiful event to recognize a lot of our cancer survivors and those that are no longer with us. And it is a beautiful event. Thank you so very much for all the hard work that you put into this. And thanks to the residents. And a lot of them participate. I know that the ladies from the Women's Club, we have a team now. And thank you so much for helping us raise all this money.
And I just want to thank the ladies because I know that they're talking about Baldwin Park, but Roxanne and I've actually been in other events in other cities, and their work expands beyond the borders of Baldwin Park. So thank you for the work that you do.
Yours too. You want to take a picture and then we'll bring you up here?
No, it's fine. I'll catch up to it after. Thank you, man. Please.
Manny, we're, real quick, just want to place their names up on the marquee because I owe them that, so we can place Andrea.
Mr. Carrillo.
Carrillo.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea. You guys are awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. We're going to get both. Manny's going to get both. Andrea. Manny's going to get both your names, so you have your names on the marquee. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Actually, Manny, Andrea. So what we'll do is, if we could run an article on the Now for them, featuring Andrea and the guests as well, so we could at least let the community know in general.
And going back to my request last year, if it's possible, remember we talked about during the Relay for Life and also Cancer Awareness Month. Going pink, if possible, in the fountain at Morgan Park as well, just to bring attention to the issue and make sure that people know that the relay is going on. So let's see if we can have that done this year. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. All right, at this point, we're moving on with public communication. Oh, Mariana Lake.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Lozano, council member, staff, and member of the community. I am here as a director of Valley County Water District, board member. I was elected to make sure to run the district properly and provide us safety water for the community. And now micromanager the community. That's the job for the employee. And also, I'm here because as a member of the public, I'm being harassing by some people in the community. They follow me in car for all over places. At any time that I go, today was too much because I went to the district and they follow me. There was a lot of car around the parking lot of the Valley County Water District. When I get out there, they follow one from one place to another place. Last time I was here in the police parking, they follow me too. And I know this is not election, and I wanted, please, the police be close to my house or patrol that area because it's very dangerous. And I live 4515 Stewart Avenue, and I have my son. He's a younger. Today he wait for me at the school at Sierra Vista, and I call for another phone because I don't believe I believe they have something in my line too. So I call the police today and let them know. I call 911 and let them know that a lot of cars follow me. I stopped to take them. And they told me to come to the report. And I am here today to be in the record that I need the police. I support the police 100%, but I need them, please be around the area because it's very dangerous.
All right, thank you. Camp Partner, we could follow up on that as well, okay?
Please.
All right.
And thank you.
Thank you, Mariana. Appreciate that. Okay, move on with public communication. Good evening, Mr. Sid Masabi.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Mr. Olivas, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. My name is Sid Masabi, and my business address is Orange, California. Mr. Mayor, within the last few months, there has been numerous questions and or allegations presented here at this council chamber that I felt compelled to come here in person and address those comments and questions. And there are in general three categories. Number one, almost 6 years ago, a newspaper article reported certain allegations of disgruntled employee who was fired from a city. Among many statements, the newspaper reported that the FBI was investigating the AE for bribery charges that took place approximately 9 years ago. I'm here to report to you that the AE was never questioned or charged by FBI for any wrongdoing, including bribery charges. Unfortunately, every time San Gabriel Valley Tribune has an article that includes AE name, they report that AE was the focus of investigation by FBI. I'm sure there are many firms and organizations that have been and or are under investigation by authorities. However, when there are no charges filed, that means the firm is operating within the legal frame and is free to continue doing the business. Number two, most recently there has been numerous inquiries related to our invoices, and we have provided to the city of Baldwin Park. Unfortunately, the line of question may have portrayed an impression of improper billing. I wanted to assure you that our company is a very professional organization with registered project managers who initiate the billing, and all invoices are quality controlled by certified senior accountant. We work very closely with city staff and provide any and every backup for the invoice the city has required. We have done thousands of projects and thousands of billing for numerous cities in Southern California within the last 21 years. And great majority of those invoices have been audited by city auditors, state gas tax auditors, CDBG auditors, MTA auditors, and many other federal and state as well as regional authorities. In the past 20 years of our business, there has never been an instance of even one improper billing. Number 3, I started working for City of Baldwin Park in 1982, and in search of upper mobility, I left the city in 1985. And I worked for 2 other cities and county of LA. I returned back to Baldwin Park 7 years later in 1992 as city engineer and public works director. And in 1996, I took the CEO responsibilities. In every position I served, the city, my performance reviews by my supervisors and or city council always was in the ranges of substantially above average or in most cases marked as excellent. Unlike some malicious allegations in this chamber, under no circumstances I was let go by the city.
Okay,
or
Sid,
I was charged.
Time's up.
Mr. Mayor, I'm grateful and proud.
Sid, the time's up. Sorry about that, sir. Appreciate that. Sure. All right, thank you. So at this point, we're going to move with public communication.
Good evening, Greg Tuttle, business owner. Mayor, it seems that after the public comments, sometimes you put your big boy pants on and you talk smack on me. So I says, it's time for you. So let's go down the list here. You're a blatant liar. You're a fabricator. You're a political pimp. Your 2 brothers are drug dealers and users. You hide developer land perks in your trust. You don't like someone, you turn them into the IRS, code enforcements, or you do city frivolous lawsuits like Pacheco and you did with me and Monica with this restraining order. Cost city $52,000. But you didn't believe me. I gave you the facts. And the city wasted $52,000. And you blatantly lied about, I have a lifetime restraining order. Why don't you talk to the attorneys or the police officers? There's no such thing as a lifetime. Grow up. Now then, I want to read. A few years ago, I read a Baldwin Park police report that was a guy that claimed to be your gay lover, Sergio Corona, in which he was arrested for felony vandalism. Here are Sergio Corona's own words, not my words, telling the police officer what happened. Also, by the way, Lozano bailed him out. Oh, also, he got off on charges. Here's just some of his quotes. I'm a school board member. The mayor is gay. He broke my heart. Call Manny Lozano. Yell for Manny Lozano to come to his aid, is what Sergio Corona said. The mayor, Manny broke my heart. The mayor of Baldwin Park is gay. I bet you guys didn't know that. Wow, that's a shocker. Okay, let's go into Rome. You want to bring in ENA and extend it, which you're never going to get this thing over here in the domain. But Lozano, Garcia, and Pacheco, let's find out on their 460s. They got $5,000 from Rome. Pucker up on that one, boys. Now we know why we're getting another ENA. Horwitz. Manny, you're really confused. Anybody that would try to say that Horowitz is stealing money, would anybody, you can get he tells you he's going to save you $1 million and cost you $100,000. How many people would take that bet? I would. Hey, you guys don't have any business sense. You guys are ignorant. You don't even have your security guard license updated. You need to get that updated if you're going to play security guard down at the hospital. I'm going to go. I'm getting too upset.
All right, moving on with public communication.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Margarita Vargas. Yesterday I went to Upper San Gabriel and there was a presentation about the Proposition A on the state. And I met Norma Garcia, is a deputy director for planning and developing agency for the Hilda Solis.
Mm-hmm.
And she when I talked to her about something else, but she said when I told her that I was from Baldwin Park, she said, "Oh, I like to go and make a presentation because Baldwin Park is one of the cities that is gonna it can receive money for parks, water projects like that." And so I gave the information to Lynette so she can give it to Mr. Pacheco. So maybe you can put it in the agenda for next meeting so she can come and do the presentation that I think is going to be really good for the city.
Sounds good.
And the other thing is that I saw in the agenda the noise ordinance that you're going to approve, that you're not going to have a hearing. So the only thing that I want to tell you, it says that up to 10 o'clock at night, but then it says if something is going on that it can be later. That's what I understand in the resolution. Because in the Women's Club, you know, we've been there more than 100 years. Not me, but the building. And we all, one of the things that we do is rent the hall for weddings, quinceañeras, and that's why we raise money, you know, to maintain the building and to do the things that we do. And we never had any problems. My neighbor just passed away, and I found out that they married more than 40 years ago, and they had a reception in the Women's Club. So it's been going on forever, and we never had any problem until recently. And that's what we asked, like, for the resolution. But we usually rent the hall up to 11 o'clock at night, and then we give them an hour to clean up, you know, so they have to leave at 12. So I just want to make sure that it's something that when you pass the ordinance, maybe it's, that we can call the department, the police department, and let them know when do we have the rentals, so you know in advance. And if somebody calls, you know, you don't need to go there. So that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, at this point, anyone else wish to speak on the public communication? If not, at this point, council members have anything to say? All right, so we're going to go ahead and go into the consent calendar items. Ooh, we've got a lot here. All right, you know what, real quick, I was asking a question about some on here, but let me just, before I forget, I wanted to respond to what this individual, of course, again, he obviously couldn't finish because he was upset for the fact that he fabricates every information that he's had about me, and that's just the reality of me. You know, it's amazing. Yeah, you've accused me of being gay when in essence, talk to the people about why you were divorced, because you went with a man. That's your personal business. Now, let me make it very clear. If I would have been out of the closet and right here. But since I'm not, and that's what you want to think that I am, that's your own issue. You have personal problems. You deal with them, sir. And it's a shame that you have to come here and do that, and I don't care. I beat you. When that fabricated report came out by the individual that reported it, and actually documented when that individual was under certain circumstances with his girlfriend, you don't know the whole story. I sent it out to the Tribune, and I also forwarded it to the LA Times. As a matter of fact, one of the electeds from the school board, I gave him a copy who had called me up about that. So don't start this little thing about my personal life, because I'll tell you right now, if I would have exposed myself, or people would have seen me. There's people that are single up here, and I've been single. Does that make them that they're fall under your category? I have nothing against any type of individual, regardless of who they like, just like yourself. If you're happy with that individual, then you know what? Power to you and him. And I'll support you on that, because there's no reason for me not to. So don't come up here trying to fabricate information. It's amazing when you come up here and you talk about a lawsuit, yet you cost the city of Baldwin Park $52,000 for an attorney. He tried and sued the city for $60,000. Yet Mr. Rios and Mr. Luna, they're not going to question you on that, because we obviously know they're too scared of you, and that's the reality of it. Now, Ricardo Pacheco did make a good decision when he decided to break off from your so-called created group. When you first got elected, he told Ricardo Pacheco, "Let me do all the talking for you. You don't do anything." And it's obvious that he didn't want to capitulate to the corrupt type of method that you operate. But whatever you say here, let me make it very clear. You're not a resident of the city of Baldwin Park, and yes, you do have a permanent. He has that continuously is taken back to court. He has a permanent restraining order. He cannot be with his wife nor with his daughter. So what does that say about this individual here? He hates the fact that he has been labeled a congenital liar, which he is. And that's the reality of who this individual is. A non-resident who has not been successful, who's been a failure all his life, and that's a reality. And I have that right. Now, the Constitution of the state of California, of this country, allows this individual to come up here and fabricate anything he wants of anyone here on this city council. And that's the reality. I have no recourse. I can't sue that individual. He has a right to come up here and make up these type of stories. But the reality is, you know what? You don't affect me in any way, and I will never capitulate to you regardless. And yes, it's amazing how he accuses both my brothers of being drug addicted. Now, yes, one of my brothers has been arrested by the Baldwin Park Police Department on several occasions, of course, and he's pulled out. And it's amazing. He says it here. I will always say anything that it transpires with my family, myself, publicly, because I've always been on it. I've always been on the record. So you're not bringing nothing new that the general public doesn't know. Just want to let you know. And I'll end on that part. All righty. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead into the consent calendar, items 1 through 10. Any council members wishing to pull any item out?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
I want to pull 1, 5, 6, and 10.
Okay, 1, 5, 6, and 10.
Mayor, I'd like to pull item number 8.
Which one? 8. Got it. All right, so at this point, I'm going to move for consent calendars items with the exception of 1, 5, 6, 8, and 10. That's my motion.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. All right, the first one is the warrants and demands by Councilmember Cruz Baca.
I have brought this up before, and unfortunately, Mr. Masavi and Mr. Bassi already left, and I would like to explain that, first of all, on the warrants and demands again, I see that Cosmont was paid $26,550.20. That bothers me, regardless of what the report says, because we have a membership with the Economic Development Partnership, and I believe it was in the neighborhood of $8,000. And when they did the presentation, they basically cover everything that Cosmont is doing now. We can go to their disposal, and they have everything that we possibly need in order to do our community development. But yet we continue to pay these consultants and everyone else this absorbent amount of money, and it's the taxpayers' money. And I think that we need to look into this, and we need to investigate, even though I'm being contradicted. But I would really like this investigated. The other one was advanced engineering, which is Mr. Masavi, one of Mr. Masavi's companies. It was $9,420 for on-call services and $11,787.87 for on-call services as well. I see the invoices and a lot of the discrepancy, not because, like he had mentioned, that his invoices specifically say what they're doing. Mm-hmm. What concerns me is that the work is being duplicated by our staff and by other consultants that are coming into our city. I still believe that the $125,000 cap that we have, that you, Mayor Lozano, Councilmember Garcia, and Councilmember Pacheco agreed to give to our directors, I believe that we need to really take a look at that, and we need to restructure so that we're not spending the money or put our directors and our staff into a position where they are forced to be able to do these contracts without coming to council. I feel we've lost control. Council are the decision makers, and yes, there's 5 of us, but I feel that we have no control. We're hearing about these contracts after the fact instead of being able to make decisions. Yes, I know it's a lot of work, and yes, I know that we're coming to staff, and yes, like Mayor Pro Tem Garcia accused Councilmember Rubio and myself of micromanaging. We're not micromanaging. I am taking care of the taxpayers' money as well as my own, and I would like to know how this money is being spent. I believe that there's a lot of frivolous spending with consultants, and also taking a look at Cosmont's and the 3 different companies that Advanced Infrastructure, AAE, and Infrastructure, whatever you want to call them. I think Like I said at the last council meeting, we need to stop payment until we do this investigation. Mayor Lozano, you agreed with me on the agenda this time that we need to start an investigation, even though I'm being contradicted about it and I'm being told that no, that we should have staff do it. I believe that we need to start an investigation and look at all of these invoices and all of these checks that have been spent, which probably amounts to close to $500,000 by now.
May I add to that real quickly, if I may?
Yes.
You know, and I feel bad that Mr. Sid Mostavi laughed because, you know, he brought some points. You know, he said that he feels that we alleged things that are not true and that his company is being portrayed in a bad light. But I think that he should agree with us in that we should bring down the cap to $10,000, because if he did, then we would have the opportunity to see his projects, vet his projects, and be informed on his projects. But because we don't get to see them, there's, of course, they raised the cap to $120,000. We don't get to see the projects. We don't get to vet them. We don't get to approve them. And we don't even get to approve $120,000 worth of taxpayer money. So if I were him, I would encourage the council to go back down to $10,000. So every project that comes to the council, then we would feel confident that we've looked at it and we've asked all the questions instead of his company having to explain himself. I think that it would be in his best interest, as well as everyone else, if we did that, there would be no questions because we would know about the projects. The issue here is, and we want to be very clear, it's not that he's not doing the work or perhaps not doing it correctly. The issue is that we don't get to see what he's doing. We've yet to see reports, we've yet to see presentations, and like Councilmember Baca said, we get to find out months later after the bills are getting paid what that money is being spent on. And once again, we got elected by the residents of Baldwin Park, so I feel very uncomfortable that I don't get to explain to them or answer to them when they have questions about why we don't have money. And I would like to be able to respond, and I can't because I don't get to see thousands and thousands of dollars that are being approved behind council chambers. We don't get to see them. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. At this point, do you want to go ahead and move for approval, or?
I move for approval, but I'm still questioning some of the payments that are going out.
All right. So is that a motion? I'll second. Any objections? See none. So move. The next one will go Cruz Baca, extension of the exclusive negotiation agreement (ENA) with Rome Development Corporation for a proposed phase 2 to transit-oriented mixed-use development between Ramona Boulevard and Baldwin Park Civic Center.
I pulled this item because Councilmember Rubio was not able to be at the closed session, and I would like to see if maybe we could put this over so that she and Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Garcia will have a chance to look at this item.
Fine.
And could I finish my sentence, please?
I know what you're going to say, so.
All right. Hold on, Ricardo.
Just give her a chance to speak, please. I think that was rude.
Hold on. Let her finish. Go ahead.
I would like to extend it to the council meeting in October so that we can all take a look at this and make a definite and see what our options are.
All right. So at this point, there's a motion. That was second. Okay. Any objections? See none. So move. All right. The next one also is Councilman Cruz Baca, or is this Councilman Ricardo? No, Cruz
it was
Baca.
me.
Status report for Greenleaf Event Inc. Agreement for the Certificate Farmers Market and Street Fair.
I see that the reason I pulled this as well is also because Councilmember Rubio and Garcia and Mayor Pro Tem Garcia aren't here, but I also saw that after I had decided to pull this, we do have a notice from Greenleaf. I know that there's also there's also a suggestion from staff to request for proposal for a new vendor. I think that we should follow the advice of some of the people from Parks and Recreation, which include Director Manny Carrillo, where he said at the last council meeting that his advice or his suggestion would be to sort of cancel the street fairs until next year, only because we do have the parade and all the activities going on to celebrate our 60th anniversary. That is I make a motion that we terminate the contract.
I'm going to add to that, if I may. Well, first of all, I have to say I'm very disappointed, Shannon, in the fact that, because I see two options here. I see one that's terminate the contract, but the second request is that we put out proposals for a new vendor. I would like to see a third option, which is to continue to the street fair the way it was originally done in the first place, because, I think someone mentioned it. Last year was so successful, and it was building on every year. And I think that in order to bring something like Greenleaf, which was started in April all the way to September. I think it would be best to continue the street fair for next year and then build on clientele and people that are finding that to be a staple in the community every, September and October. And then as it increases in popularity, then we can go all the way down to April, because what happened to this event was we started in April, but by the time September came around, everyone had just burnt out, and some of them were successful, some of them were not. And so people started to see that as a not so fun event. So I would like to also second that we wait till next year.
But a third option.
Yeah, let's basically continue the street fair the way it was for next year. And at this point, because we went with Greenleaf and they just, breached the contract and we're not responding to our concerns, there's no way we can continue with them. We need to cancel that contract and just work towards next year making it successful once again. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so at this point, you want to make the motion?
I just want to just say
go ahead.
Couple of things. I just thought that because we're waiting several months until next year, if we could do an RFP and just see what other options out there, what other companies are out there, and if it comes back and the council feels that's not the direction to go in, then we just go back and hire staff.
Well, bring it back with all three options.
Oh, is that what you said? You're
Yes,
saying bring
right?
back
Is that
three
what you
options, Councilwoman?
Well, no, I actually was saying let's not go for proposal. Like, once again, why would we want to spend money on another consultant when our staff was doing it last year? And I think we had 100 vendors last year, and our staff worked really hard to bring them. When we had Greenleaf, we went down to 30 vendors because they were not being responsible. They were not returning our calls, and they actually dropped our city to go to Whittier. And I think that we don't need to spend money on a third party. Our staff was doing a great job, if you can all recall. It was really successul last year without the consultant. So I make a motion to go back to the original way we used to do it, which was with our Parks and Recs. Can you please don't be rude?
Ricardo.
May I finish, Mayor?
That's for a motion. I second it.
But she needs to finish the motion so
But
that everyone
she's
knows.
done. I got it.
Okay, you guys, let's get back. Let's get back. Let's get out of here before 1. Go ahead.
No, Mayor, I think we need to make it very clear that we are allowed to speak, and it keeps happening every meeting, and I think we need to put a stop to it. It may seem simple or maybe not a big deal, but it is a big deal. We need to respect everyone on the dais as well as, the audience. And so, anyhow, I'm sorry for the interruption, but again, I think our staff is doing it correctly, and I really want to praise them. I remember Maria Moreno was out there early, late, and we were very successful. Like I said, we went to 100 vendors with our own staff, and we dropped to 35 with a third-party consultant. So my motion is clear. Let's not go to a third-party consultant.
Okay, so the motion second by Councilman Ricardo Pacheco. Any objections? See none, so move. All right.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Is this effective immediately, or shall we have the street market tomorrow and cancel after tomorrow?
Can I just defer to you, because it is tomorrow, and I know that last time, because they didn't show up, the Greenleaf company didn't show up, we had to cancel at the last minute. I'm going to defer to you. Do you think it's going to affect the residents in a big way? Do you think we're going to have a big turnout and people are going to be left disappointed?
I don't think it will affect the residents, although out of respect to the 20 vendors, it might be a good idea to have it tomorrow, and tomorrow will be the last one. So that,
I agree.
That way staff has a way to communicate to the vendors and not rely on Greenleaf to communicate.
And to add to that, just make sure that you speak to the vendors and just let them know that we're going to return the street fair next year, so they know that they're welcome next year as well. Thank you. We'll do that.
I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that you'll thank them for hanging in there, and if I have a chance, I'll stop by there tomorrow evening as well. Thank you.
All right, so at this point, we'll go over to item 8 by Councilman Ricardo Pacheco, amendment of fireworks ordinance number 1390 in order to reduce the number of sale days and increase the fines for violations.
Yes, Mayor, I asked to pull this item because I read the report, and I think it'd be very difficult for a police department to try to enforce this and burden the residents with $1,000 fee or fine. And I think that a lot of the community supports the firework program, and I would just like to make a motion to oppose this item.
I'll second.
I would like a discussion.
Okay, yes, go ahead, discussion, council member.
Thank you. And the reason this was brought up initially was that, we have certain days that people use fireworks and they were abusing it. The fireworks were going on from 10 to 15 days, and we discussed some of the issues that were happening. For example, we have a lot of residents with TS, post-traumatic stress from war, and they were talking about those illegal fireworks. They were really sending them to the hospital, to therapy, and that's a big concern. We have to be mindful that those illegal fireworks were making all the alarms go off, and they continue to do so. So we have to figure out a way. And then we talked about the elderly who, the caregivers were having a difficult time taking care of them because there's elderly people with Alzheimer's and stuff like that they were having a hard time putting them to bed. And we're talking about children, newborns as well. It went on for like a month. And so we were trying to curb a little bit of what was happening. As much as we want to have this, and yes, the residents enjoy it, I think we have to figure out a way to keep it within the legal, realm. So I would encourage us to try and consider all those folks that are being affected, including myself. I remember this last time, it went on for weeks and weeks, and they're like bombs coming in. It's not like the regular fireworks. And so, I don't know, I think we need to consider it. And that would be my motion, to at least consider reducing the number of days. Maybe not the fine, if that's not what Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco wants, but reducing the number of days so we can enforce it a little bit better.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we go ahead with this, and it's only because I have talked to other cities like in Glendora and Duarte, San Dimas, and even when they do not have fireworks stands allowed, or the legal fireworks that are allowed, they still have the same problem. They've gone as far as raising, I believe that the fee can only be $1,000. Is that what it is for the illegal fireworks? I think that's what I was told by one of the council members in Glendora. And they said that it's gotten so bad for the city of Glendora that if they're having a party and they've got the illegal fireworks, they have everybody pay $50 or $100, and they already know that they're going to pay the $1,000 fine and still go ahead with the illegal fireworks. So those are some of the things that I have heard. So my substitute motion is for us to go ahead with this ordinance, with this new ordinance, and for us to try it this coming year. Because I think that we really need to be very conscious of some of our residents, that the noise and the dogs and everything else that are affected by this. So my substitute motion is for us to go ahead with this ordinance.
All right, so
I'll
the substitute
second
motion.
that.
Okay, so at this point it was Councilman Ricardo Pacheco move for a motion. I second, and obviously there's two objections.
Well, I did a substitute motion.
Substitute motion.
But the substitute motion, I didn't accept it, so why?
Okay,
I just, my first motion stands.
Actually, the substituted motion takes precedence over the original motion, so you need to take a vote first on the substitute.
Okay, so at this point, that's your motion, the substitute motion.
Yes,
It's been second?
And I'll
Councilmember
second.
Rubio.
All right, I
Objections?
object.
Okay, now I object, so two objections. So do we want to go through this the whole night, or what do we want to do
Go
here?
ahead,
I mean,
Councilman.
my whole thing is this, look, if it's that controversial, put it on the ballot. We placed it on the ballot one time to see if residents did not want fireworks in the city. What throws it off is that you have the illegal ones. That's what really throws it off, is you have them all over the place. Regardless of what we do, this is what individuals are going to continue to do it no matter what. It happens in El Monte. It happens in the other cities. So,
Mayor, but right now you said, people want fireworks. But let's be clear. It's not that we're taking the fireworks off. It's just that we're reducing it to 5 days, and I think that's significant, which is a few days before 4th of July and a few days after 4th of July. I mean,
No, it's not after 4th, it's the midnight.
I thought it said, I thought it was noon the following day, but it's 5 days of fireworks. And really, when it comes down to it, 4th of July was meant to be enjoyed 4th of July. And so it still gives people 5 days, but, if you have it so long, then it extends to a month and even after that. So I think we should just try it and just see if it makes a difference. It's worth just giving it a try. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the original ordinance.
well, why don't we look and see what other cities like El Monte does? And I mean, and other ones that have actual fireworks, and find out what their actual ordinance is.
I can tell you already, they have the same, that's where I got it. I got the idea from the other cities that are doing that. They're fining their residents $1,000 and they're reducing the days, and that's where the idea came from. I already looked into the other cities.
All right, so at this point, it's going to be 2-2. So what do you want to do? At this point, I mean.
And you're not willing to consider it? Like I said,
know
I mean,
what?
we're going to do
Okay.
it anyways. Why not just
That's
have
the
something
case.
that we can enforce?
If that's the case, then let's put it on the ballot and let the residents decide. Do we want to continue to have fireworks or not? Put it on there. It was on there one
this,
time.
You're going
This isn't
extreme.
about eliminating fireworks.
Yes, you're
This
going
is
extreme.
and it also makes our police department's job easier. When they start hearing these fireworks before or after the time limit, they know that they're illegal. So, or they're not supposed to be firing the fireworks or whatever you call it. So I think that it makes it that much easier. I'm sure you all live in Baldwin Park. There's been somebody just about every night that's been
Yeah.
shooting off fire, the illegal ones. Last night I heard them again.
Me
Over
too.
according to me, it's coming like from the north part of Baldwin Park. I don't know, but they're still doing it.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
if you're done,
Councilman.
are you done, Cruz Baca? I wonder if you're done so that I
Go
can
ahead.
speak.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask her if she's done so that I can speak.
Are you finished? I'm done. Oh, she's finished. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure I don't want to be accused of not, speaking out of turn and all that stuff. But, Mayor, I just think that the community, I don't want to find somebody $1,000 who probably can't afford $1,000. They're going to come into the council meeting. You have a lot of families here saying that they can't afford this $1,000. The police department is going to be overburdened trying to figure out, who to get. I mean, I could just see a lot of the issues that have taken place, and they take place in these other communities that fine people this $1,000. I mean, this was, I think, put on the ballot a few years ago. It was defeated. I just think that the community here supports, fireworks, and I think that it does go away. I know it's a nuisance, but after a few days, it does calm down, and you hear less fireworks. So, I'll make my motion again to object to this.
Can I make a clarifying point just real quickly?
Yes, go ahead.
They're not going to get fined, if I understand the ordinance correctly. They're going to get warnings before. And can someone help me clarify how many warnings they're going to get before they actually get so they get warnings. I think it's a ticket, a warning ticket twice. Then on the third offense, by the third time, they should know what they're going to get. So it doesn't just fine them automatically. It gives them several warnings. Thank you, Mayor.
And I believe, and I think that they will get notice and they will know. And the ones with the illegal fireworks, do you know how expensive those are? If they can buy those, they can pay the $1,000 fine. Believe me. Because sometimes many families get together to buy these and bring them from Nevada or wherever they bring them from. But I know that in my neighborhood, until that family moved out, it was like a war zone. It was terrible. And so, if they can afford to do that, those are expensive.
Okay, so can we move this to the next council meeting when there's a full council and decide? What would you like to do, Councilwoman? I mean, it's going to be 2-2 here, or we move it over to hear from the full council?
It's up to you, Mayor.
But no, at this point, let's go ahead and just move it over.
All right, thank you.
Any objections? None, so move. All right, item number 9. Was that you, Cruz, that requested that? No one? Okay, no one requested 9?
I did 10.
Okay, all right. Item 10, which is the 5-year capital improvement project CIP budget for fiscal year 2016-2021. Councilman Cruz Baca.
I have pulled it because I know that Councilmember Rubio, I thought that Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Garcia would be back or would be here at this meeting. And it's very convenient because some of these votes have been, this particular vote was 2-2, and I know that when she comes back at the next council meeting, it'll be 3-2, and Councilmember Rubio and I will be outvoted about many of the items that we weren't able to agree tonight. But that's okay. But anyway, I thought that maybe Shannon could please explain the 5-year plan, or Rose Tam, our finance director, so that Councilmember Rubio will have a chance to be able to hear the explanation that we heard during the meeting upstairs.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, no?
Yes, if that's the council's pleasure, I can go over that. I don't know, Rose, if we have the PowerPoint ready to show. But it's a carryover from the same plan that we talked about 2 weeks ago at the study session. And we are looking at a 5-year plan. We're only funding the first of the 5 years. And we're proposing only $38,000 in general funds and almost $11,000 in special funds for this upcoming year. And we're a little bit ahead there. Oh, I don't think that's the right one. Anyways, while she looks for that, some of the
I'm sorry, does it have to be approved today? Is it time sensitive?
no, it could be carried over if the council wishes.
You guys want to do that?
Well, only because, remember when we were trying to approve it last time, Mayor Pro Tem was the one that had issues with how this was written. She had some disagreements, so maybe it's best that all of us are here present when we approve this. So I wouldn't mind moving it over.
All right, so this way you want to make a motion?
Only if there's no time-sensitive material here.
I wanted to just defer to staff if there's any grants that are dependent on the funding, or
Yeah, we do have some grants that are dependent on it, so the sooner that we can get it approved, we can start.
Another
the
2
deal.
weeks, will we be okay?
Yeah, we should be okay if we.
Sam, are you sure? Because I really want to make sure that you're not put under pressure because of this decision. You be honest about it. If you feel that this is really going to affect how you get grants, please let us know.
We will be fine, so we can move it over.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, if I may ask.
Yes, Councilmember Ricardo
Are you
Pacheco.
complete, Susan, Councilwoman? May I speak?
All right, Councilmember?
You need to defer to the chair.
Councilmember, go ahead.
Just want to make sure I don't interrupt when I get.
Yeah, just defer to the chair. He'll let you know.
All right, thank you. Let's go ahead.
May I
Go ahead.
speak, Mayor? Because I
Yes,
want to make
yes, sir,
sure
go
that I
ahead.
have, it is my turn. Okay,
Right.
thank you. What I thought was in the, when we had spoke about it earlier, almost the main concern that Councilwoman Garcia had was about the alleyways, and that kind of got resolved. Unless Councilwoman Rubio has other issues beyond that, it was basically the poles that they were going to put for signs, but we decided to go with some electronic type. What do we call those again?
Electronic
digital
marquees or message boards.
Yeah, message boards that would be out there, and not do the high-rise sort of poles. So, was there something else you had in particular that you wanted to change?
No, but you're speaking for Mayor Pro Tem Monica Garcia. She's not here, and I know that she had issues with the poll, but she also said she wanted to look at different items, and she's not here to speak for herself, so I think that she should be given that opportunity. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and move it over. So we'll go ahead and, Rose, we're not going to need it then at this point. We're going to
Thank
move
you,
it over.
Rose.
Okay, all right, thank you,
Sorry.
Rose. Appreciate that. So at this point, there's a motion to move this
Second.
over. Second, any objections? See none, so move. All right, we're going to go down to the public hearing, which is a review of the cost of the city fees services based on study prepared by Revenues and Cost Specialist LLC, RCS. So, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Most of the city fees have not been updated since 2008, and some of them longer than that. By state law, cities are required to justify their fees, and they may not charge more than it costs to provide the service for that fee. They, however, can elect to charge less if they wish, realizing that that might be subsidizing some of the services. As the staff report notes, the firm of RCS has completed such a study. It's been given to you in your packets, and it's available in the city clerk's office. If approved, the new fees will offset almost $200,000 a year in city services, and this would otherwise be subsidized by the general fund if not approved. Now, we did find that many of the fees will not increase, such as building permits. We found that they are covering the costs of service, and there are a few minor fees that will need to be lowered. For the most part, some of the fee increases include many of the planning and engineering fees, and the consultant recommended a higher or justified a higher increase. However, staff was not comfortable with that and is recommending a 14% increase, which is approximately the cost of living since the increases were last approved. And so that will help keep our fees within reason, and it also shows that compared to surveys of other nearby cities, our fees, if adopted tonight, are still at or below the average of other surrounding cities. That will help us remain competitive and business-friendly. I should note in recreation, there was a couple minor changes and some slight increases in the facilities reservations and the picnic shelter reservation fees. Attached to your staff report is an exhibit, and those show the existing fees and the proposed fees. And with that, if you have any questions, myself or staff are here to answer those questions, as well as the consultant, and we recommend your approval.
All right, at this point, I'm going to open up the public hearing, so anyone wishing to speak in favor of this particular subject, you're welcome to come up. Anyone opposing?
Well, we hit on the bingo. Your engineering fees are going to go up. 65% of your fees go to Sid Masabi. This is ridiculous. If you people had a brain, you'd be hiring some people to take care of the engineering, all this type of stuff. But no, you hire Sid Masabi because you all got money from campaigns. this last year. You got money. You got a check. You also raised the fee to $125,000 for contract fees. This shows you that you people are on the take, just like the Rome deal. You're coming in here, you're going to raise these fees. I don't know what the electrical fees are because I haven't conferred with what Shannon has there, but I know with my son being an electrical contractor when he did work in this city, they were outrageous compared to Pasadena, El Monte, South El Monte. Pacheco knows about South El Monte. He's down there all the time with Sid. So, you know, this type of stuff, our city, a lot of the fees are outrageous, which I agree that they say that they're supposedly going to reduce them. But when you start raising these engineering stuff, I've talked to developers that are in South El Monte where Sid's at down there, and they're outrageous what Sid wants. They go to their own people and bring in the approval. You people need to start looking for people to work in this city that's for this city and are doing the job here in-house, not paying an outside source. He's not the Jesus Christ of engineering, believe me. And he's been in Montebello, he's been in Maywood, and he's been over in South El Monte where the mayor got on bribery charges. There's going to be a lot of stuff brought up in there. It ain't over yet. So you people need to start thinking here, and these fees that I saw on some of this stuff here is outrageous. I had a guy come over here that put in an electric panel. $800 to upgrade his electrical panel. That's ridiculous. $800? There's no engineering fee. There's no nothing. It's to come out and get it inspected, and then Southern California Edison comes in. I don't understand this stuff. But you people with this engineering stuff, you're just going to keep hiring outside sources. Sid's done. He needs to go out of this city. He was a city manager. He was a public works guy. He's come into this city again, sliding in again, giving money to you, Monica, Manny,
Can you stay on the
Monica.
subject, please? Thank you.
Goodbye, man.
Totally out of the subject. Oh, my God. Okay, all right. So at this point, okay. At the end, okay.
Hello, City Council and Baldwin Park residents, a few that are here. You know, you put a public hearing on your so-called minutes. You go back to 2008. Why don't you just fire everybody in the city of Baldwin Park and just start raising taxes? That's what you're doing, Shannon. You're finding every loophole.
Are you going to stay on the subject?
Wait a minute, sir.
Are you going to stay on the subject? This
I'm
is a
telling
public
you,
hearing.
this
is a public
he
hearing.
He mentioned 2008, didn't he? Answer my
subject.
question. 2008. That's what? Bunch of years already. Let's get in the future. You guys have this so-claimed paper that says public hearing, and you know what? You might as well throw it in the trash because what we got to oppose or agree with has no bearing. You're going to do whatever you want. I've been saying that every time I come here, and I'll continue doing it. You guys do whatever you want. Shannon will go back to 1901 if he can and find a loophole so you guys can use it. And you think the lawyer would say, wait a minute, that's too far back in history. But that's okay because he'll find a loophole. That's what he's looking for. That's why he doesn't work in Covina anymore, because he found a loophole too many times. Because that's the impression he gives. This paperwork that you have here is useless for us to read it, because what you guys put on here is not what you have up there. So how do you expect us to agree or disagree with you people? You don't put enough minutes out here to tell us what you guys are up to. After you vote it in, you write it up real nice so we can see it. But that's about it. And Mayor, vouch for my words. I have never accused you of nothing but what you do in the city council meetings. So don't you ever, ever do that again to me. I am not their group. I don't agree with what they agree with. I do as my individual voice. If you don't like that, tough luck, Mayor. But I have never accused you of anything.
Stay on the subject, please.
Thank you.
All right, thank you
And
very
remember
much. Appreciate
that.
Appreciate that. All right, moving along with public communication.
I have a question. Are the code enforcement fees included in this?
Go ahead.
The code enforcement fines, I do not.
Please.
The fee, well,
Well, I
like
think
when
they
you
charge-
ask somebody to fix.
Yeah, they charge fines. They don't necessarily have fees, and they are not included in this study.
So they're fines, not fees.
They're not included tonight. They will not be raised.
All right, thank you. Moving along with the public hearing. See no further interest, I now declare the public hearing closed. All right, so at this point, what's that? All right, okay, go ahead. You want to go ahead and what was fabricated up here? Did you want to make a comment about that?
If I could answer a couple questions on some comments were made as far as electrical fees and electrical panel permits. Those are part of the building permit fees, and those are not being proposed to be increased tonight. Those will remain the same. The same with the plan check fees. It was mentioned that consultants are paid 65% of the plan check fees. That is also a building permit and plan check fee that is not proposed to be raised tonight. And I think the fees that are being increased, planning and engineering fees, I did ask Sam and Amy to look at other surrounding cities and make sure that we are not charging more than those other cities. I just wanted to point those things out.
So it's obvious the information that was brought up here about the other cities that we're much higher than they are.
I'm depending on Sam and Amy and
Sam, did we do
and
that?
their
Look at that
studies
study?
they looked at.
As far as the electrical permit, or
The engineering and the planning fees.
Yeah, we went and reviewed all the fee items and made sure we did a countywide study, and we compared the fees to that. So
you know where we rank with, say, Almani, Covina, West Covina?
I do have those numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but on average, we were below about the 13% or something like that.
All right, okay, that's fine. All right, anyone else wishing to comment?
Well, I do know that we can approve these at any given time. I have a concern only because we have vacant positions, and they've been vacant for a little while now, and I feel a little bit uncomfortable about approving this right now only because we don't have our Public Works Director filled fully, and we don't have our Community Development Director, and what's going to happen is that right now those fees, we're not necessarily going to go to us 100% unless we can fill those positions because we are paying third parties to do the job. Only because when I look at the engineer services, I know that they do get 65%, which is not unusual or unreasonable. However, I do know that they get 100% on rush fees, and that's a big concern of mine. I just don't know what city would give 100% of the revenue to a third party. That's not what we're in business for. And so I want to see how we can fix that, because no one should be getting 100% of our revenue. We're not here to pass our money to somebody else. And so I would like to put this on hold until we figure that out. What that means is when someone pays the city for plan checks that are rushed, whether it be $100,000, $50,000, or $10,000, it doesn't matter. It goes 100% to the third party engineering firm. And so I want to see how we can capture some of that revenue. It is our city, it is our staff, and we do put time, whether it be administrative or whatever it is, but we do put time, and we should get paid. Never should we ever give 100% of our revenue away. So unless we can figure that out, I'm not comfortable approving this. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. So,
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember.
I agree with Councilmember Rubio. I really think that it should be something that we should not only look at but negotiate, because it is true that I've heard from other developers as well that when they expedite and they pay expedite fees, it doesn't go to our city, even though our staff is doing a lot of the work. And I agree, and I will reiterate what Councilmember Rubio said. I really think we need to look at that very closely and see how we can generate some revenue from that.
Yeah, and that is understood. Actually, yesterday I sent an email to Steve Forrester, the engineering manager at AAE, who deals with my contracts with the building official in building plan check, and I've said, this is on the table. We need to talk about this because we touch these plans. We need some revenue from this. So they're well aware of that, and I'm thinking I'm going to be getting a phone call in a day or two to talk about it.
Thank you.
And that is, if I could, that is an issue that Amy recently brought
Yeah.
to my attention,
Good.
and it is something that we have on our planned look
Yeah.
ahead for the agenda to bring back to the City Council to adjust that.
Yes.
So let's just be clear. This has no date that we need to sign it. We can sign it now, next week, or a month, or even next year. So there's no rush on this. I would propose that we hire full-time employees to fill those jobs that now we're paying a third party to do. So then we can capture some of the revenue. Right now, I'd rather have the small businesses, the homeowners, get a little bit of the break rather than have that revenue go to a third party and not the city. So I would just propose that we hold off until we fill those full-time positions and we're able to capture that revenue ourselves. Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman Ricardo Pacheco. Well, hold on. There's
Well, go ahead. I
been
think,
second. Any objections?
No, wait, what are we doing? Are we holding this off till next meeting, or?
Is that what you're requesting? Okay, so it's
Want to hold this off?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's what I'd like to see. I know there's a concern from staff, so I'd like to get a staff report, find out where's this 100% that you're talking about? Is that a contract, or where does that come from? I mean, if you do this in a report, and then I guess, I'm not sure how you would negotiate it, if it has to come back to council, or you guys do it as staff. Just kind of fill us in how that is at 100%.
The request for service that we have currently right now for plan check only, not the building official, for plan check. Whatever we determined needs to be sent to do outside plan check, AAE Infrastructure Engineers gets 65% of that plan check fee.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, is it worth it for us as a city? And this is maybe a study I want to see. Do we hire full-time staff, and when there's a slowdown and there's not a lot of plan checks, there's staff augmentation, you guys are going to hold, 2 or 3 employees over even when we don't have, the staff. I mean, that was the idea when this was brought in. I mean, this is brought in under I believe the budget, and we all approved it. And there's a certain amount of staff augmentation, because if we started to fill every position that the city required on the times that we don't have the money to be able to support all that staff, we're going to go into a deficit. And at least this gives us that opinion. Now, if 65% is too high, and we got to negotiate or 100%, we do that. Now, I know that there's times that there's a lot of plan check that comes through. For example, right now with the LA Fitness and a lot of construction that is going on, I know that there's a backlog because a lot of people start to complain, from residentials to developers, that things aren't moving fast enough, through your department. So I ask you to, look at that and figure out, what is reasonable for us to look at.
Right, and that's one of the things that I'm doing in relationship to this. It's not only the structural plan checks and the things we sent out to do outside plan checks, but it's also the building official who's actually in the office and reviewing things as well. Plus, we also have to look at, our customer service timeline. Our customers expect their plan checks back in a certain amount of time. So those are all the things that we're looking at right now.
Can you look at it and I mean, we're going to approve this, so I don't know how long would it take you to look at that and then we approve this, or you think it's 2 different things?
It's a motion.
Yeah, and can I add to that really quickly?
There was a discussion, though, too.
Yeah, one of the concerns is right now, the way it's starting to sound, it's like we don't need to hire a new person because it's going to cost the city money. But we need to understand that we've had a community development department ahead for as long as the city has been in existence. You need someone at the helm taking care of these projects, and that's why they're backlogged, because you don't have someone there full time. In fact, when we had Mark Castanola, when things were getting a little behind, that's when we didn't have a position that during last budget, we proposed a new position to help out and expedite some of these plans. And that's where Victor's job came from, because he was supposed to be helping. And so I rather pay full-time employees that are there every single day and are doing the work. And like I just did the analysis, we were paying him, I believe, Mark Castanola, who is a department head, $100,000 a year. And the third party that we're now paying, if we pay all year, it'll be $146,000 a year. So at some point, we have to realize that we're spending more by having part-time positions than having someone full-time that would help expedite some of these deficiencies. So I don't want to approve this. My suggestion would be to hold off until we fill these positions and then move forward after we can figure out how to retain some of that revenue. So, my proposal is not to bring it back next council meeting, but rather hold off until we do a study on how we can best, capture those revenues. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, okay.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead, council member.
was there a motion when you said?
You got a motion? So the motion,
And
is
there
there
was
a
a
second?
second.
Okay, so
Wait, hold on,
the
hold on.
motion is,
What's the motion?
the motion is to take it back and not make any
Decisions, just put it
take
aside.
straight out. Okay, so at this point, there's a second. Any objections?
I would object.
And I'll object as well. So we're going to end up 2-2.
Okay, so let me make this motion, or let me just put this out there.
You're going to wait till Mayor Pro Tem Garcia gets here.
Okay, if you want to, then fine. Bring it back to the next meeting. If that's how you want to put
But
that.
Mayor, don't you see, I just want to
I
make...
was gonna. I wasn't done talking.
Okay.
So don't interrupt me. I won't interrupt you. Is that clear?
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on. I'm talking, but I have the floor. But I have the floor.
Let's go. Go ahead.
Okay. You could say after we're done. I have the floor. So look, I would like staff to do a little more reporting on this conversation that we have. I'd like to hear more from staff on this 100%. What that is, and if it's reasonable, and then bring it back so we can make a decision at the next meeting. That's what I would like. More staff information, because that is not in this report. That's in the form of a motion, to bring it back next week
So
with more information.
that's a
So I have
motion.
you
I'll
guys go ahead.
second. Any objections?
Yes.
Okay, objections. So at this point, we're going to be 2-2. So what do you want to do?
Well, can I just ask one question to Amy?
Mm-hmm.
Do we pay 100% of our revenues to a third party for rush projects?
We pay according to the request for service. If an individual requests expedited plan check, which is rush, the plan check fee is doubled, and 100% of that fee goes to AAE.
So not only is it doubled, so we're charging clients double the price, but yet we don't get to keep a penny. It goes out to a third party. Just clarifying. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you.
But Mayor, I
Yes, go
also
ahead.
want to clarify that not only are they getting the expedited or the rush fees, whichever terminology you want to use, but they're also getting 65%
On top of that.
on top of all of that. And they've got the contracts with other departments as well.
No.
Hold on.
No. The 65% is for regular plan check, not expedite.
No, yes, I know, but they're
okay.
still getting 65%
Correct.
plus the 100%. The 100% for the rush or expedited, plus they get 65% of the regular plan check.
You either have an expedite plan check, which is 100%, or you have regular plan check.
So you don't have either. So
You
either
don't
or.
have both.
Okay.
But
It's either
it's
or.
doubled. The
Hold
price
on.
is doubled.
Hold on. So we'll get mixed up. There's two options.
Correct.
There's two options. Okay.
Yes.
So the first one's a 65%, then the second one's a 100%.
Correct.
Okay,
For the
Mayor,
rush.
But the fee is doubled for the expedited.
Well, if the individuals, obviously, if you want to, in other words, how many companies do come in and want rush?
A lot.
Developers. There
Not-
can't be that many because we don't have many
No, it's
projects.
really not that many because most of them don't want to pay double.
Okay. All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
you have the floor?
Yes. Go ahead. Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco.
So we get 30% is what the city gets, right? I'm sorry, 35%.
5%.
Okay, we get 35%, and the company does all the work, right? So they got to pay somebody of that 65% to do the work that we don't do, and we do very little and get 35%. So I don't know. I mean, we have to look at that. I think it's a fair argument. Now the 100% double, I don't know. Maybe we got to look at that again and find out. Bring back that contract or send it to me. I haven't seen that one that says they get double and 100%, but we'd have to look at it again.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
All right.
Okay, so can we move on? Are we done?
Okay. So at this point, where do we stand? So it's 2-2.
Oh, so it's okay. So do you want to bring it back to the next meeting?
I'll move that. Let's go ahead and bring this back. That's my motion. There's a second.
Second.
Any objections? See none, so move. All right, so we'll bring it back and we'll review it. All right, so at this point, we'll go over to, actually, that's the only, hold on, we do have the item number 12. And we're going to go over to the approval of administrative policy number AB 16-031 entitled Ballpark Social Media Policy.
Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, the other question I have on this is on the now, because there's certain rules for mass production and advertisement with elected officials, is On the now, we only do it, or we could do it if it was all 5 of us in the picture, and you could all put the, or if it can't be one name of one elected official, it has to be all 5. So if we're doing this social media, when they show a picture of an elected official, does it have to be all 5? Or if there's mention of one, is there somewhere in that social media that you put all 5 names? I mean, I don't want to be later on that one of us or the city begins to get blamed because you're publicizing or could look like you're publicizing one council member over the other because you're not showing their picture in a particular event. And maybe that's a legal question. I don't know. And maybe it needs to be looked into.
Well, that's the reason I brought it back, because that was my suggestion, that we block out the 2 months prior to election so no one abuses the social media to promote one person. So we block out the 2 months before election, and anything else that's advertised is, we have concerts in the park. They always have all 5 names on there, and sometimes we have pictures and it's all 5. So that's the policy, that all 5 council members are there, and there's a 2-month blockout period. So that would be my motion.
Okay,
so that takes care of what your concern is.
Hold on, I wasn't done talking here, council ladies.
Okay.
My question really wasn't answered. Okay. So I guess, Councilwoman Rubio, my question would be, if I was the only one that showed up for a month or 2 on social media, is that a violation of whatever mass media advertising?
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman.
No, on social media, there's not the same rule as mass mailing. For example, the rules for the Now would be different. You couldn't have pictures of any council members in the Now, but in the social media, it's not considered a publication. So you could have pictures of individuals.
Okay. So, Councilwoman Rubio, were you going for number 2?
Yeah, with the 2-month blackout period. That would be my motion.
Second. Any objections? See none, so move. All right, so item.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, item 13 is contract options for grant writing activities of California Consulting and Del Sol Solutions. All right, so at this point, yes, who's handling this?
I can give a brief overview if you'd like.
Thank you.
At a previous meeting, both of the grant consultants gave a verbal report to the City Council, and there was some discussion regarding the fees, and the motion at the time was to bring it back, negotiate with the consultants. At that time, Del Sol Solutions had suggested going to an hourly rate, and we met with them, and they were proposing $100 an hour. We talked with them a little bit, and they agreed to bring their proposal down to $90 per hour. And California Consulting is currently writing grants at $3,900 per month with a $200 cap on allowances. They're willing to continue that option. They had also thrown out at the City Council meeting $5,000 a month with a $200 cap on allowances that we discussed with them, and they were willing to bring that down to $4,900 a month with a $100 cap. They had also at one time given the city a proposal to write grants on a per grant basis, and they looked at the grants that they have written over the last few months and compared that to their monthly retainer, and based on those calculations, showed that the city had saved over $6,000 by going on the monthly retainer as opposed to a grant basis. So with that, questions or corrections?
All right, Councilmember.
Well, it's rather, discussion rather than a question. Last time they were here, we discussed, well, personally, my personal feeling is that we don't need to have 2 companies that do the same exact thing and pay them separately. Last time, the reason we discussed it because we were paying $3,900 to 2 companies, to do the same exact thing. And I believe California Consulting agreed to take on the entire city for, now you're saying $4,900 with a $100 cap, which makes more sense than paying over $8,000 for 2 consultants. The reason I'm really opposed to the hourly rate is that we heard last council meeting from Councilmember Cruz-Baca is that they start having all these meetings and even talking to council members and charging $100 or whatever it is dollars per hour, and you end up with thousands and thousands of dollars more, and there's no way to really vet, the meetings, if, what the meetings are for. Based on some of the invoices that we receive, all it says is, spoke to staff, and that's all we get. We don't know what that means. We don't know if they just called and said hello, and I know I'm just being a little sarcastic, but we really don't know. It could really be that. We don't know. And so I'm completely opposed to the hourly rate. I'm completely opposed to having two consultants to do the same exact thing. So my motion is to keep California Consultant, who offered to take the entire city, lower the rate to $4,900 and a $100 cap, as opposed to having two companies that could potentially cost us way more than $10,000 if we're not careful. So that's my motion. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, there's a motion. Second. Any objections?
I would object.
One objection. All object. So we have 2-2. So real quick.
Can I ask you why you object, Mayor?
Let me, Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead. No, and I'll answer that. Go ahead.
I would prefer the hourly rate and let staff control the cost. I think that you could have two consultants, two different types of background that they both possess. I know some of you like one contractor over the other, but I think that, again, one contractor did 9 months with the police department, the one that you two are selecting, and nothing happened with it. I think if we do it on a project basis or a grant basis, and let staff choose one of the two contractors, whoever could support it, and I think we'd save more money that way. So that's why I would object to your motion.
Mayor, I have a comment on that. Well, first of all, you just made a comment that we prefer one consultant over the other. Just to be clear, we prefer no consultant. Cruz Baca and I fought very adamantly because our staff has been doing a great job with getting the grants for all the projects that we needed. They've been doing it for years and years. And you mentioned that he worked 9 months with the police department. Yes, he did. And he didn't bring any grants at all, yet we paid him half a year. And so this is not about liking one or the other. I just don't want to have two consultants doing the same exact thing. And California Consultant, the reason I'm inclined to go with them is that they've been very responsive. I mean, all of you guys see all the reports every single month. They tell us what they're working on, what's in the pipeline. We know what's happening. With Del Sol, we never got a report, and we never got any information. In fact, Cruz Baca questioned him last time he was here, and he wasn't even able to respond to her what those charges were for. And on top of that, we just wrote him another $15,000. Am I wrong, Cruz Baca?
No, that's true.
Another $15,000?
Yes, well, go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and just to wrap up, again, and we don't even know what those $15,000 are for, so I'm not in favor of one over the other. I'm just thinking of taxpayer monies, and at the very least, I see California Consultants' emails coming in every so often letting us know what they're working on, what's in the pipeline, what they've achieved, what they're working on. That's the way it's supposed to be. At least we have an idea what the money is being spent on. And the other company, we haven't seen a report, at least I haven't. There is no emails. And last time he couldn't even answer what those, what we paid him for. Do you remember last council meeting?
Yes.
So I'm just going to defer to Cruz Baca to finish her statement.
Right.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Ms. Baca.
If we go on an hourly rate, the way they were billing before with having meetings with even council members, at the hourly rate, it could be more than the $3,900 that they had agreed originally. However, I feel that I've been deceived, and I think the taxpayers have been deceived because they really can't say what they've been working on all this time, and yet they've been working from 2015 they were working, or Mr. Solano was working on a few grants for the Walnut Creek, which our staff does. The other thing is that recently our police department got a $48,000 grant, and I asked who put that together, and they said staff did. So our staff is very, very capable of putting together these grants. It's obvious by what we saw earlier today for that 5-year plan, that the Public Works had all the grants and Measure R and everything that we're going to be paying for a lot of this. Our Parks and Rec gets all the grants as far as whatever's going on. I feel that we're throwing our money away until Mr. Solano can prove to us. Then I think that what he should do in good faith, or his company should do in good faith, get us the grant and we'll give him a percentage. Let's agree on a percentage of 10% or 15% so that way he shows us in good faith that he is doing the job. That's what I propose.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Ricardo Pacheco.
I think one thing was at the last meeting when Del Sol was here and you asked him about invoices, I think it's difficult as well as council members here. We weren't sure what documents you were looking at or what invoices you had asked him what the charges were for. Now, I know that with grants, it takes a lot of work. Grants don't come, you don't just apply for a grant and you get it. grants take a lot of work. They can take anywhere from 1 to 2 years. So they take a long time, and it's a lot of work for the grant writers to put together the plan to be able to write the grant. And that's why they they charge, because they are working. I know that you're saying that Del Sol didn't provide any grants, but he did. He provided. There was a grant a few months ago that they did get, and they work with the staff on that one. That was in his report. They do monthly reports. They do provide them. I see them. I mean, I can have staff send them to you. I know that California Consultants, they do send a lot of emails, but a lot of it isn't really pertaining to grants for that they're working on here. They're just in general talking about grants, and I notice that a lot of those grants don't really apply to Ballpark. It's something that I think they just send out to all their clients to see which ones may or may not apply. But I think Del Sol is working on some grants, and I believe they've already produced some grants from what I've seen in some of their reports. So I guess what I'm saying is maybe we could move this over to the next council meeting so we could talk about it some more.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just disagree, because you're answering for Del Sol. You're talking for him. This is a company that's established that should be able to answer for themselves. Last time they came, we weren't looking at any particular invoice. It was on the agenda that each consultant was going to give us a report as to what they were working on. We saw California Consultant do that. They, talked about what they were working on, and so by the time Del Sol came, they weren't able to answer the questions, and they were on the agenda. So as a company getting paid $3,900 a month, they should have been better prepared with the report on what they worked on, and he couldn't answer the questions. And so to me, that just shows that, we're not even sure what he's working on. Again, going back to California Consultant, and just to be clear, you brought them. We were against it since the beginning because we thought our staff could do a good job. At the very least, I think I just heard Mr. Shannon Yahtzee talk about how they did get some grants and they were able to save us money as opposed to doing a percentage, I believe. And so they did bring us grants. So that's why, like I said, I'm inclined to go with someone that produced, has been responsive, has been giving us report, and can justify what they're getting paid for. So I don't see why we would even bring it back. My motion is just to go with one consultant. To me, it's a waste of taxpayer money to pay for the same thing and not have a company know how to answer their own questions. So that's my motion, Mayor.
Okay,
I
Mayor.
second.
I object.
Okay, when I object, I'll go and object. So it was 2-2.
The one I do want to say that I have been in business for myself most of my life, and when someone asks me to justify an invoice that I have sent them, I can tell you off the top of my head why I charged what I charged without missing a beat. Mr. Solano wasn't able to answer anything. He looked like a deer in headlights. And he should have been aware. If he's charging and he's writing something on an invoice, all I wanted, he didn't have to have the paperwork. He's the one that created it. So I just wanted him to please give me the information. I wasn't disputing him. I wasn't doubting him. I just wanted answers, and he never gave them to me. He never gave me any of the answers. So to me, I feel, again, like I say, I feel I've been deceived. What am I, or the taxpayers, what are we paying someone $3,900 a month to do what? To be an ornament here in the city? To just fill up space? Because I haven't gotten any answers. And Mr. Solano isn't even here today. He's never called me or to have a meeting to explain any of this. It's like he doesn't care because he's got the 3 votes. So what difference does it make? He doesn't care what I say.
All right, are you done? I'm sorry. Are you complete?
Mayor, may I have the floor?
Well, may I ask,
Councilman Delgado Pacheco, then we'll go to Susan.
Okay, I don't. Let me ask staff. I mean, Manny Carrillo, are there any grants that the Del Sol is working on currently, or?
We've worked with Del Sol in the past. We are currently working on one grant, although it's on hold right now until we get clarification from the school district if they would like to proceed with a new green space. So currently, we have no grants that we're working with Del Sol.
Okay, what about with California Consulting?
We are working with them for community development, and we are working on a few grants right now. One in particular is the NEA, National Endowment of the Arts, that we're working on. But there are a few projects in the back burners with the other consultant, with California consultants.
Okay, Mayor, so I'd like to move it over to the next meeting. I don't know.
I would like to continue the discussion. Mayor, I asked for the floor.
Yes.
May I?
Councilmember, go ahead.
Thank you. Manny Creel, are these grants the same kind of grants that you used to get yourself back, when we did that whole joint use project with the school district? Is it the same type of grant?
Yes, it is. I mean, some of the procedural guidelines have been modified over time, but I would like to stress to the City Council that putting together the grant is just one element. You have the packaging of the grant, the narrative, and then you have all of the work of putting together all of the information. So it is helpful to have a third-party consultant assisting us with the application. It is very comprehensive, and if we're applying for numerous grants, it's a little challenging. But I'm responding to your question as the recreation director in regards to those type of grants. Although, to answer your question, the grant in 2010, the department did apply for that grant. We coordinated that project in-house, and we did not incorporate a consultant.
Thank you. But my next question, follow-up to you, is can California consultant do the same thing, help you package, put the grant together, and help you obtain some of the grants that you need?
Well, both consultants can put together a grant application, and California consultants have proven to be a very good company.
So going back to my point, we don't need two consultants to do the same exact thing and pay two different people. I still believe we should save taxpayer money and just go with one company. But I really want to hear your thoughts, Mayor. Why do you think we need to? If you don't mind, I just want to hear your thoughts. I don't want to be missing something.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I think that there are two different companies with obviously two different methods by the way they approach. And what I'm going to do, bring it back and assess it in the next 3 months to look at what other potentials there are and to see what they've achieved within the next 3 months. So that's what I'm going to base my decision on. Of course, staff's time is also precious, and they have a lot of things they have to do as well. And as was explained right now by Manny, so there's different phases of this particular types of grants that I apply for.
Well, you keep saying that they're two different companies. Let me clarify. They really are not. In fact, he started working with California Consultant. Everything he learned was from California Consultant. He just happened to break away, and he doesn't have the experience that California Consultant has. They do the same exact work. They're not necessarily doing different things. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. And again, we're going back to years of experience. Again, I prefer no consultants at all, but if the reason I'm inclined to go with California Consulting because they're years of established, they've been established for many years, and like I said, Del Sol used to be his employee, and I don't believe they do anything differently. He just happened to break away not so long ago and now wants to have his own company, but they produce the same work and basically draw from the same resources. So I think that they can do the same job, and we don't have to pay two people to do the same thing.
And as I indicated, I am willing to assess it within the next 3 months, so we'll take it from there.
So
again, I don't want to prejudge Mr. Pasolano. He's obviously not present, as was mentioned in here, and we want to give an opportunity to everyone. I mean, these are two competitive firms, and I understand that. But go ahead, I'll end there. Councilmember.
Mayor, I propose that we hold payment on Mr. Solano until he comes and gives us an explanation and tells us, justify the invoices so that we're not overpaying somebody for, like I said, and I'm sorry to use the example of just being an ornament or somebody's friend on the dais, that he was promised a job, because I would really like to see his qualifications. We would not accept that of our staff. And I think that I wouldn't want to be accepted if I'm not doing my job, even if I'm up here on the dais. I would like for him to come and give us a presentation and show us what he's been doing, what his ideas are, what kind of creative ideas is he coming to the table with, or is he being handed all the jobs and all the grants? Is it something that he's researching? Is it something that he's done before in another city? Is it something that he can make our city grow and alleviate some of the work from our staff and lessen the blow or lessen the load? That's that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, it kind of also reminds me of Mr. Horowitz. Our staff was doing the work, but he took the credit. That man did not bring any, let me finish. That man did not bring anything new to the city. He had the staff ask, and I'm not going to get the staff's name, he was asking the staff, how can you save the money? Then he came and took the credit. So that's what we're talking about. Similar. Is that what we're
we're not talking about this at all.
Because that is what this man was doing.
Mr. Horowitz,
he ripped us off.
He did not. Let me clarify. Berkshire, which is the name of the company, Berkshire saved us over $1 million, and he got a percentage, and he even lowered the. I will bring the paperwork and all the documents to the next council meeting.
Part of the
I
money
guarantee
that
this.
He said, go ahead.
Let me finish. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay.
He saved us $1.5 million. The only outstanding is the Redflex, and for some reason that Redflex has always been a sore. Even Mayor Pro Tem Garcia wanted to see if we could send them a letter to see if they could at least reimburse us for some of the expenses, but they haven't. They've never answered. They've never been held accountable for all the money that we paid, which was close to $1 million in 1 year that we paid Redflex, and we had no accounting and nothing. Here we go again, paying out money to companies that do not justify the work that they're doing. Berkshire came here and said, I will charge you a certain percentage for saving you money. He saved us over $1 million. He lowered his fee to 10% from the original. I will bring all the documentation. I'm not defending anybody, by no means. But I do know that he did do the work, and that's what I'm looking for. Mr. Solano, like I said, has never met with me, has never given me the respect of meeting with me because he's got the 3 votes. So what the heck does he care? And he has never justified what he is doing. And I have one question before I finish to Mayor Manny Carrillo, our Parks and Rec director, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Is it work or grants that you have done or that you can do on your own without needing another consultant?
Well, a short answer to that question, staff could probably absorb the work that the consultant is coordinating in the Recreation Community Services Department, although we would be limited to only applying for possibly one grant every 6 months. It just depends on how complex the grant is. I mean, we could apply for a Kaiser grant and it's just fill out a few forms and it's relatively easy. Applying for a grant through the federal government or the state of California is very challenging.
Do you feel that, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but do you feel that we need Mr. Solano when we've got other consultants that are experienced at doing this and maybe could expedite the paperwork and know exactly how to fill them out? Or does Mr. Solano need assistance from staff in order to fill out these grants?
All consultants need a significant amount of assistance from staff. I never worked with Mr. Solano that closely. He has a staff member that we work very closely with.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I have to make just a point of order. The reason we're discussing these items is because they're in the agenda. They've been agendized. And just to, excuse me, to clarify, what you are discussing is not on the agenda. It wasn't agendized. And it seems like every time we try to figure out where our money is going and how we're spending it, you know, other things come to play, like Mr. Berkshire. We're talking about a company that's no longer working with us. They have not been working with us for a very, very long time, and yet we're discussing them just because we're asking these questions. I think we need to stick to what's on the agenda. And again, we don't have that company anymore. I think they stopped working for us a while back, so I don't even see why we're talking about them, and I take issue in that.
Well, you know what?
Give me 1 second, please. Like earlier you said, you know, when we were talking about both companies, you said, you know, we have to give an opportunity to everyone. We're not in the business of giving opportunities if we don't need them. We're not here to, you know, build a resume for any company. We're here to make the best decision for our taxpayers, and if, you know, spending extra money is not what's best for the residents, we shouldn't do it just because we want to give people opportunity. This is not about him personally or his company. It's the fact that he hasn't justified the work. And you're saying 3 months. Well, I can give you 9 months that they already worked with the police department and they weren't able to produce not one grant for 9 months, or maybe 6. I may be wrong, but I'm sure it was 6 months, at least half a year, not one grant. So I don't know why we would give them 3 more months and pay them if they weren't able to produce in 6 months. And right now, I think California Consultant can help Parks and Recs figure out the next grant. That's why we have them here. I don't think we should go for 2 companies. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, let me, and I realize what I said was not on the agenda, and I understand, but I just want to make sure that we are aware. Of course, when you were part of the majority, all 3 of you, I opposed it, vote for Mr. Horowitz. Mr. Horowitz was assisted by the staff 100% and then took $100,000 out of our general fund when in essence he saved us supposedly, which was the transportation, which was grant money, I guess it's gas money, Prop C. So there was no savings. And this man did rip us off, and I stand there. But let's move on to the next subject. At this point...
Okay, Mayor, so
yes.
can we move this... Well, okay, I guess it just stands that it's going to be 2-2, so can we move on to the next item? I guess this one will just...
Mayor?
Yes,
Councilmember. I just want to clarify for the record that this is being moved over when you have your 3rd vote with Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Just for the record, I need to state that, and so that way it's on the record.
Sure. And just real quick, and I'm glad you brought that up. For the record, she was part of the majority about 2 years ago, and there was a 3-2 all the time. But you have to understand, this is a democratic society. You cannot change this democratic society, and you may not. If you don't like it, then you probably shouldn't be sitting there. This is the process of a democratic society. That's what it is. It happens at the state, it happens at the municipal, happens at the county, and at the federal level. And that's the way it is. That's democracy. All right.
And Mayor, one more thing. Mayor,
go ahead.
You did vote for Mr. Horowitz, and I'm sure that it's on the record, but you did vote for Mr. Horowitz.
And allow me to correct myself. The first time when you had your majority, Ricardo Pacheco and Susan Rubio, when you had the majority, you voted. I opposed it. The second time around, I did, and guess what? We didn't need his services. He was no longer there. I don't know, disappeared. But I want that for the record. Yeah, you refused, but that's fine.
But the way that works is that he wasn't charging us unless he was able to save us money. And the reason he disappeared, because you could only look for opportunities in a city or any institution for so long, and those opportunities, once they're discovered or fulfilled, that you move on. Right now, they're no longer working with us, and we keep going back to something that's not on the agenda, and they're not even employed by us any longer. And I almost feel that because we bring up these consultants and these charges, then there has to be a counter with something that happened in the past. We're dealing with this issue, and this is important. That's taxpayer money, and we're responsible, and I continue to feel uncomfortable paying someone else just because we want to give them an opportunity. I think that's not the way we should do business, Mayor. Thank you.
Let me end this, because he came in on the Amigo, and I'm not going to get into who recommended, who got fees for bringing him here. I'm not going to get into that. But let's remember again that there are individuals that this person was referred by, and I'm not going to go there. So just remember, this person did take $100,000, and as the mayor, I have an obligation to the residents so that they know that we got ripped off $100,000 in general fund. He did not save anything. That was gas tax money where he saved us. No savings whatsoever. It couldn't come out of there. It's illegal had he even attempted to take money from there. I'll end it there. Yes, go ahead.
But I have to disagree with you. This is not an agenda item. I would like it put on the agenda for our next council meeting so that we can bring the paperwork, because right now you are just trying to justify what Councilmember Rubio and myself are trying to say. This has nothing to do with the majority vote. It has to do what is right for the taxpayers of the city of Baldwin Park. That is what I'm looking for. That's all I want.
Just like you have an obligation, I have an obligation. Okay?
And like you said, this is a democratic system. You have your,
yes.
You have your, yes, and we have spent
so far. But you're refusing
refusing
to recognize the democratic process.
But what you haven't seen is that we've spent almost $500,000 on consultants, and the 3 companies that AAE and Advanced Infrastructure, it's almost $500,000 worth of expenses in the last 6 months.
Bring the information.
Councilmember
Ricardo Pacheco.
You keep bringing up these companies, AAE, because it's not on the agenda, but since you brought it up, I'll bring it up. Okay. Yes, they have charged expenses here, and we have people that are working to do the work, so you can't just say we paid them $500,000 and they did nothing. They have staff here. Staff sees who they bring here, and they do work. They actually do construction drawings, and they bring things that they do, specifications, inspection of construction work. So I think it's wrong when you mislead the public just because you want to make a political statement, when you accuse companies that they're not doing work. They are doing work here that you supported on the budget for staff augmentation, and that's why these companies are here. So that because if we start to hire a lot of workers, then we're going to not be able to afford them once either the economy slows or the work slows on. So I think that you need to be more accurate and bring the paper. Look, first of all, you or Susan have not brought to this city council the invoices that you're questioning. I haven't seen any paperwork that you're talking about that you're bringing here. And second of all, a company that you guys brought in to do your civic center, okay, and I'll repeat it again, as what these gentlemen said for the seventh time.
We're getting off of the agenda. It's not an agenda item.
He has the floor.
Okay. The civic center, La Cañada, did work on that contract, and they got paid full. And there was 5 items that they had to deliver, and they didn't deliver 3, and they need to owe us money back on that. I'll bring that up next meeting. But anyways, Mayor, if we could just move on.
All right. Okay, so at this point, we're going to go ahead and item 12, I guess we're going to move this over then. Is that what we're doing? Yeah. Okay, all right. All right, so at this point, we're going to go to item 13, which is the contract options for the grant. Well, no, excuse me, that's where we're holding that over. Item 14, which is the parliamentary procedure rules to be considered by the city council. Staff recommends that the city council select Form 1 of the following options. One, so...
May I, can we move this over? I have questions for the city attorney.
Okay, all right. Any objections?
Yes, I would like that there be, yes, I think that we need to look at this. The Roberts rules are the standard, and we as a city council, I didn't realize that we don't have Roberts rules in order here. No wonder everything is amok. So we need to take a look at that. The Rosenberg rules, from what I understand, were just an update of what the Roberts rules are, but the Roberts rules is the standard in every city because I've asked, and in a lot of the different municipalities, that's what they use. The water board and so forth, they use the Roberts rules. So I would like to move forward and for us to go ahead and adopt the Roberts rules so that we have some standard to go by here when we're getting out of control with these council meetings.
All right,
Okay, so I made a motion to move it over first.
Okay, and hold on. You make the motion, I'll second. Any objections?
Yes, I'll make a substitute motion only because we can't operate without any parliamentary procedures. And she's right. Every single organization, cities, school board, and water boards all go under the Roberts rules. They're standard. And she's right about the Rosenbergs. It's actually someone that was part of the Roberts rules. Same thing, broke off and just did their own rules. But it's the same thing, just a different author. So I think we should have rules in place as of today to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And I would make that substitute motion to adopt the Roberts rules.
I'm sorry, you're making a second.
There's a motion?
Hold on.
Yes.
I made a motion first.
Right. I second.
You seconded it.
And there
they
was
objected,
objection.
so that motion's done.
Right. So they're doing one now. She just suggests.
But she made a substitute motion to which?
Okay, all right.
Whose motion?
It's not a substitute motion, it's a main motion now.
Hers now?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Main motion.
What is her main motion?
I second it, but that's exactly what this is exactly why we need to put the Roberts rules in motion, because you have been up here on the dais for so many years and you didn't realize that a substitute motion holds ground over a regular motion.
No,
Councilmember Pacheco?
No, you're wrong. You're wrong by saying that.
Stop interrupting, please.
Okay. What do you mean I'm wrong?
Just make the motion and move forward.
One moment, please.
Okay, go ahead.
One moment, please. I'm going to, and Mr. Olivas is not the regular legal counsel, but I think he's been here at the City of Baldwin Park long enough. Mr. Olivas, am I lying when I say that the City Council right now does not have any order of the Roberts Rules or any parliamentary ruling? Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
That's correct. The city has not adopted the Roberts Rules of Order or Rosenberg's Rules of Order. It does not have a parliamentary procedure adopted.
However, we do run under the state, which is council majority. Am I correct on that? Which is by the state of California,
That's
is
correct.
acknowledged.
And there are certain state laws that require you to take certain votes.
Mm-hmm. So
For
we are.
example, if you have if you have a subsequent need motion, you have to have a 2/3 vote.
Right. So we are operating by a state law here. So when you say amok, I differ with you in that particular area. So
You don't think that this meeting runs amok?
well, you know what?
I don't
When you
think it
bring
does.
all your campaign people in here and you do your little thing, of course it does, right? Because you're
I'm
part of
talking
it.
about the dais, Mayor.
No,
I'm
you know what
talking
I'm
about
talking
us,
about.
and you know that
Know what
it's
I'm
gotten
talking
pretty
about.
bad. I'm just
Well,
talking
I don't
about
think
us.
it is.
Never mind the residents. I'm
No,
talking about
excuse me.
us, Mayor.
Okay, you mean your campaign people here?
I'm not talking about no campaign people. Please stay with the subject. I am talking about the people on the dais, on fellow council members and you, Mayor. These meetings have run amok. Take a look at some of the videos.
Well, you know what's
Embarrassing.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We've accomplished a lot in this city, and if you don't want to be a part of it, maybe you shouldn't sit here because we've accomplished. And if you can't see what we've done in this city and what this city has done, then you know what? You probably shouldn't be sitting here, Cruz.
Mayor, this is not about
No, I
that.
just letting her know because I know what she's campaigning. This is our campaign.
Mayor, all we wanted was to adopt rules so the meetings run orderly. How is that campaigning? That is just something that every organization has. That is not campaigning. I think that we need to just bring it back to what we're talking
fine.
about. If it's something that you really are adamant about, then let's move it over. But it has nothing to do with campaigning. When Councilmember Cruz Baca just wants to adopt rules so we have order and we have procedures and everyone understands the rules, that's all. And I
And
think
just
it's
to let
important.
you know, we are operating under the state constitution. So 2/3, and that is the law of the state of California.
I'm
and
not
the
opposing you, Mayor.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
just
that's
saying
fine.
that.
All right,
We're
so at this
talking
point-
about rules.
Okay, at this point, we're going to bring this all, back to. So, any objections?
Yes.
Okay, one objection. So at this point, Madam City Clerk, Madam City Treasurer, will take roll call, and this is to move this the consideration of adopting one of the Robert Rules of the Rosenberg as the actual City Council's daily for City Council meetings.
Yes, move over the meeting.
All right. Oh, did you call his name out?
No, she did not.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, move this to the next meeting.
No.
No.
Yes. Okay. It's 2-2. So we'll bring it over, I guess, to the next meeting, right? Alrighty. Okay. All right. At this point, we'll go over to the. We're going to go over to the council request. The first one that I have is the. Would like to ask for an investigation into the invoices contracts identified by Councilmember Susan Rubio at the last City Council meeting. So what I want in that investigation is the following: is the actual bike path and also the vector control. So we could go through that, CEO, and we could bring that back. That is what I'm requesting.
Okay, second.
Who are you directing to?
To the CEO. Yeah. All right. There's a motion. Do we need a motion for that, legal counsel? Okay. All right. So at this point, there's that is my motion to have the CEO take this for an investigation. And it was seconded by Councilman Ricardo Pacheco. Are there any objections? If we see no objections, we're going to move forward with that. All right, so at this point, we're going to go over to Councilmember Cruz Baca. Council Baca is requesting an investigation into the invoices, contracts identified by Councilmember Rubio as a previous city council member per Mayor Lozano's suggestion on August 17. All righty.
I would like to expand the investigation into the consultants as well as the invoices for the engineering contracts, which includes advanced engineering, AAE, and infrastructure.
Okay. Are there any objections?
Well, I just a question to the Councilwoman Baca. When you say that, what is it that you want to know about the consultants? How that when they did the report and they got hired, or what exactly when you say you want to expand an investigation on the invoices? Well, which invoices are you talking about? All of them from 10 years back, or
no? We'll start from when the contract from when they were when the $120,000 was given as a direction for the CEO and the Public Works and the directors to be able to sign the contracts. So I'm going back to January of 2016 to present.
Okay, and then on those invoices, what is it that you expect to investigate?
Well, then that's why we're going to investigate.
No, I mean, I'm
see
asking
the
you,
legitimacy.
I want to know
I want to see if what the scope of the work is.
Okay.
Are they really cross-referencing things that other departments are doing and our staff is doing? And I would like to take a look at all of that because I see a lot of things that are being duplicated.
I agree that I think we should do an investigation because you as councilwomen are requesting it. But I'm trying to determine so that staff does an adequate job in this investigation that you're requesting. You want to look at the scope of work for whatever project they did from that point, and then look at each invoice and if each line item was completed by either a worker and a product was produced. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay. And not more than that. I'm just.
Well, it all depends.
No,
if I'm not satisfied with the investigation, I may ask for more.
That's true. But at this point, because I agree with you on an investigation, we should look at these invoices and find out where they're at. And if when it all comes back, if there's more questions, we go back and ask more questions, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And I would like to add to that, Councilmember Baca. For example, or to be more specific, like Ames has their invoices are very general. We don't know what they charge for. I believe you brought that example last time that it was nearly $1,000 when they sat for 6 hours with council members, and it just says met with council members, and it's at $172 an hour for 6 hours to sit with the council. I'm not saying that in particular, but all their invoices are like that. They'll say, had a conversation with staff, called staff, and we don't know necessarily what the conversation was about, what was the purpose of the conversation, and how does that justify $172 an hour. And most of their invoices are like that, very general, and I see some of them duplicated. And I did comment last time that I did a sampling, and I called a couple of the people that were on the invoice. In one in particular, it said that they had met with this person, I believe 4.5 hours, so that was 4 hours and a half at $172 per hour, and she says she did not meet for that long. She says that the most 1 hour. So the question is, how many other charges are there where they say they met 2 hours or 3 hours, and because they don't provide data, documentation as to what was the purpose, what was the item, and what was accomplished, because at $172 an hour, they can have meetings all day. They really could call everyone and have meetings all day, but is there a purpose? And what is accomplished? And at the very least, we need to be updated on these things. We've never had a report on all those charges. And that's where I think we get in trouble when there's hourly charges. Anybody could just call a meeting for 2-3 hours and there's no purpose for it. So I really wanted to be specific what the purpose was, who they met with, and what was the outcome of that meeting. What was the purpose and where they're headed. So I think it needs to be more specific.
And another thing is that I would like to bring in an outside auditor to take a look at this. I believe our staff is overwhelmed, and at times I feel that they work too closely with some of these companies, and I understand all of that. I don't want to put them on the spot, so I would like to bring in an outside auditor.
Okay, Mayor, I would prefer, let staff do the first response. If you don't have adequate information from that one, then go to an outside auditor. We're talking, it's going to cost a lot of money to go out to an outside auditor. I think we need to have staff do the first response to all these issues and questions about these invoices, and go from there. So, but I think your first motion was, we made a motion to do the investigation. Right. I was asking for more clarification, and I believe we got that. So, City Manager, if you could tell us, are you clear on what it is they're asking?
There was a lot of information, but I will go back to the recording and...
I want to be clear tonight because I don't want to walk back later. I mean, she's asked for on each invoice. They want to know what the scope of work was for that particular invoice, where it came from, and then what was accomplished in that. If they said I worked 6 hours talking to a council member, then what did they do for 6 hours? They want some kind of a brief. I don't know how much you want them to say, but. They were meeting for a particular reason, and this is what they talked about, sort of a memo of the meetings. I'm trying to figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Well, I think that the companies should give us a report. I think that Del Sol, Ames, they should come up and say, I met with Councilmember Ricardo Pacheco and Monica Garcia Mayor Pro Tem Garcia said that she had met with them on a few occasions. She said it wasn't 1 6-hour day. She said she met with them on several days. I want to know exactly what was the scope of the meeting, and why didn't they meet with Councilmember Rubio and myself? If it's something that's so important that they discussed with you, can you tell me what you were on that invoice? What did you discuss with them?
Well, let's have them come in and talk about the day.
I'm asking.
I met with them several times to talk about the county and how they're working with the county. But I mean, if you want to get specific, let's sit down and talk about which meeting it is. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen. We're going to be here talking all night about. Let's get a report from the consultant and from staff as to what meetings took place on each of these invoices.
I would like to see the report from the consultants themselves.
I agree
There's
too.
nothing hard to understand about that.
But I'm for
That's
that,
exactly what I've been
but
saying.
I'm for that, and you keep saying that I'm not. I'm for that. I support
I want
that.
the consultants to come
Yes.
up and clarify line by line item.
What is it, man? What is it? I'm telling you, yes, I support that, Cruz. I mean, where's the issue here?
The issue is that you go back and telling me, you keep saying that you want staff. I don't want staff. I want them to give me the report. What did they do? What is their, how are their invoices
Maybe
being
you could communicate to her,
justified?
because I don't think she understands what I'm saying. Yes, I want the consultants to write that report and come back to us with it.
That's fine. But before you didn't say that, before you said you wanted staff. You want to listen to the recording?
A staff member needs to work with them to get the information. So
The staff doesn't need to work with them. They just need to. They just need to be given the information and say, "We want a full report. We want a full report and justification
So
of your invoices."
our city manager,
That's it.
Our city manager is going to
Simple.
do that, right? That's simple.
Simple request.
You're
That's
really
all.
you're making it complicated.
No, I'm not.
Okay, can we have the motion at this point?
Well, can I just clarify one thing? So, for example, what Cruz is talking about, those 6 hours, in the invoice, it's very clear that the meeting happened in one day for 6 hours.
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem on the dais said, oh, I did meet with them, but it was over a period of several days, yet they wrote that they met with her and you for 6 hours on that one day. They didn't say they met several days, so, and yet they had other charges on different days. So this is where the confusion comes from. If they were to be more specific, then we wouldn't have these questions that I feel like you get irritated because we're taking a long time. But this is, again, this is money that's being spent that could be used, in my personal opinion, a little wiser. And so I will agree, Del Sol and Ames and all of them need to be responsive. They need to give it, I know. See, this is the issue. You met with them, the mayor met with them, and Monica Garcia met with them. So is it Amy wonder that her and I have questions? Because they haven't met with us. And just to be clear, we almost paid $1,000 for them to meet with you guys. Why can't we ask them to come to the council meetings and share the information with the entire council? I mean, they don't work for 3 people. And at almost $1,000, they should be coming here, and I don't think we should pay them for them to report back to us. That is part of the scope of their work. Every time they come back and report, they're charging another $172 an hour, so I'm even afraid to meet with them because they're going to charge a whole day. I just want, instead of individually, I think that they should come to the council, and so it's more transparent, it's open, there's no questions, and you're not irritated because we're taking a long time. This is why we have questions, because they don't meet with us. And I think we're responsible as much as you are to the residents. And so we would like to know more specifically what those charges are.
Mayor, if I may?
Yes,
Mayor?
go ahead, Councilmember.
Okay. Would you want them to meet with you and then you don't want this invoice investigation or okay, look.
Ricardo, what
Look,
part of
Susan,
I want investigation?
You do not have the floor because you don't understand, okay? I'm speaking and you're going to listen to me because I listen to you when you have to speak.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Okay, hold on.
You're not going to talk to me in that tone.
Hold on.
Okay,
Let
hold on.
him finish up,
Let
then
me
we'll come to
finish.
you.
Okay? Let me finish. I agree with you. Let's do an investigation. Whatever hours that they put on those invoices, let's take a look at them and let's find out what happened. Is that what you want? I mean, I'm for that, and you seem to be arguing with me against it.
Ricardo, your
For an
rhetoric is not going to
Hold on,
confuse me.
hold on.
Please understand,
Go ahead.
you do this to confuse people, and I'm not going to get confused. I'm not. I said from the very beginning that I wanted an investigation from the consultants, which is, let me repeat it again, and I hope we speak, if you need for me to speak in another language so that you can understand me better, I sure will.
Okay. All right, let's.
It's for AIM, Del Sol, And the three companies that Sid Masavi has, which is Advanced Engineering, Infrastructure, and AAE. I want clarification on all their invoices and all payment that they have received from January to present. All the invoices and the stack of the invoices that Susan and I have looked at, I want them justified, especially AIM and Del Sol. I want them to give us a report to justify line item by line item. When they met with you for 6 hours and with Mayor Pro Tem Garcia and 3 hours with the mayor, what did they discuss? What was the outcome? I'm not finished. Let me tell you. I met with a county official the other day, and this is exactly what I was told. I had a meeting with the Ames people, with the Ames consultants, and I told them after we got done with the meeting, well, what do you want me to do? Because I'm used to meeting with the elected officials. So you're telling me that I'm meeting with you, and then you're going to get another consultant to implement all of this. They said, no, I'm sorry, this meeting's over, because we want to meet with the elected officials. That's why I want to see these invoices.
Here. Then I want that person you talk to, I want a report from him that he actually said that. And I would like him to come here and say that, because I met with those county officials. I met with them, and they never told me that. They're working with our consultants. Okay, to bring a project here to the city. So I don't know, maybe you're against that, and maybe that's why you're bringing it up. But we're trying to work with the county in a positive way, and work with them to do economic development in this city. That's what we talked about. Do you want to get more specific about that? And we talked about sites, of locations, of what the possibilities are of different kinds of economic development. How would we do tax sharing? And what some of the possibilities are. I mean, that's what we talked to. Who would be on that team? I mean, you'd have to be a staff member to spend 8 hours a day to be able to work on this stuff and understand what the intricacies are about doing these kinds of contracts. That's what we're.
All I want is an investigation, and you agreed to it. So I want an investigation. That's it.
I want it too.
I make a motion that we have an investigation.
You already made the motion, and we approved it.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead, for the record, go ahead, Councilmember, the motion?
The motion is that we do an investigation, and we have a report from AIM, Del Sol, Advanced Engineering, AAE, and Infrastructure, line item by line item, to justify their payment.
Okay.
From January?
From January of this year till present.
All right, so is there a second? Okay, any objections? See none, so move. All right, so we'll bring that, and if they want to come here in person, we could do that as well. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and go over to Councilmember Susan Rubio. Sorry about that, Susan. We're over there. Councilmember Rubio is requesting consideration to direct staff not to allow projects to move forward unless a contract has been signed and approved with a date to proceed, and to direct staff not to pay any invoices in advance and ensure invoices include a summary of the services rendered. Councilmember Susan Rubio.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
This request came out of the last council meeting, as you would all recall, that we had a contract that was signed in April, and yet we have payments for February and March that, at least at the time, I tried to find justification for, and I could not find justification for. And I think it should be the standard for our city to always have a contract signed, fully vetted, in place before anything moves forward, because, someone, of course, said that they gave the verbal approval, but the reality is, if something were to go wrong between the beginning of the project and when the contract was signed, and there's liability issues, and they could just say that they don't have a contract with us, and then we would spend thousands and thousands of dollars fighting this in court. Again, we're an organization that really needs to be very careful. We need to ensure that we're not having, I'm not saying that they would sue us, but the reality is we never move forward with the project unless we have a contract signed, and we didn't have a contract signed, and yet we paid $15,000 2 months prior to a contract being signed. So clearly I have questions for that reason. And so I need to make sure. I already found another contract that doesn't have a signature. That's really concerning to me. And yes, during the investigation, I will produce those. So now I have 2 contracts that were not signed and dated, and yet we're paying for it and doing work with them. And I think that's inappropriate. We need to protect ourselves just legally. We don't, and maybe legal counsel can chime in. If we don't have a contract and they're already doing work, who takes the liability in the event that something goes wrong in the city? So that's one. And I wanted to also reiterate that it kind of goes back to what we were talking about. Like, usually we have invoices, but we don't have supporting documents as to what the work, was, what services were rendered. I saw 5 invoices that just keep saying face study. I mean, and we're paying thousands of dollars, up to $106,000, and all it says is face study. I know I've been here for a little while now on the dais for 10 years, and I know that when we have contracts like that and projects like that, the companies come and present to us, especially for phase studies. When they do a phase studies, they're trying to figure out which direction the city should move. And at that point, once the contract is completed, they should come to us and say, these are options. I'm going to give you one particular example. Like the bus shelters, that job was completed long ago. And according to the contract, they were going to produce, I think it was a traffic study and options as to what shelters we should use. And there's just a lot of things that the contract states clearly that they're going to produce. And yet it was completed, it was paid for, thousands of dollars, and we've never seen a presentation. In fact, I haven't seen any presentations. And I have like 15 invoices and 15 contracts and not one presentation. So I don't feel comfortable continuing with these contracts and continue to pay these contracts if we don't have any supporting evidence. And I think that every face study should be brought to us with the face study, letting us know what the results were, especially with, like the bus shelter that should have given us options as to how to proceed. We just paid them, and that was it. We don't have a face study. We don't have options for shelters. We're not implementing them, and yet we paid, I believe, $36,000 for that. So again, Mayor, let's just make sure we have contracts in place, they're signed and vetted, and we also have a presentation for every study that they have. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Ricardo Pacheco.
I'd like to ask our city manager how many projects have been passed or contracts that were given that were not brought here to the city council and approved by the city council and then paid for, as long as you've been here.
I'm not sure I understand your question. How many contracts have?
Well, do we typically, when contracts come to the city or they're vetted, do they come to the city council for approval and then they get implemented and paid for?
Okay, so generally, under the municipal code, any contract under $10,000 can be signed by department head, and myself, city manager, CEO, I can sign contracts up to $24,999. We do have contracts with 3. Generally, then any contracts over that price go to the city council. But we do have contracts for 3 engineering, on-call engineering services that allow staff to issue what we call a task order up to $120,000. And so those task orders are part of that contract. Those don't generally go to city council as long as they're within the $120,000. I hope I'm answering your question.
I'm a little confused, just to clarify, Shannon, because right now you mentioned the $10,000 and the $25,000, but that's been our argument the whole time. At least we've been protesting the fact that they don't come to the city council, and I think the way you stated it right now, it kind of confuses people. As if they do come to us under $10,000 and $25,000, that's inaccurate. We don't see contracts for under $120,000, so we haven't seen any of these. And I'm telling you, I have so many of the invoices for $100,000, $109,000, $56,000, $36,000. They go on, and they haven't been brought to the council, so we haven't approved them. And I'm not saying they're inappropriate. I'm not saying they're not supposed to have them. But I know nothing about these contracts and the projects, and I haven't seen a report or a presentation by these companies. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, so at this point, council members have any further questions?
No, I know we're going to end just before we end because I know you're going to close it. Just don't forget the 5K run to join us this Saturday. Please come and support our POA. Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So at this point, I will move for adjournment. Any objections? See none. So move. Viva Baldwin Park. Good evening, everyone.
Mayor, one thing.
Yes.
I did want to bring up I guess there's only one captain left here since the chief isn't here. I've been getting a lot of complaints about vandalism with their mailboxes. Some of the
Where?
residents on Olive, my neighborhood on Alderson, I actually saw a guy on a bicycle the other day and I yelled at him that was opening up mailboxes of the businesses on Alderson, you know, some of the mailboxes that are out by the street. And I have heard from some of the residents that some of their mail is missing and is being held. So could you please try to look into that? Because I did promise some of the people, I put a lock on my mailbox the other day. So if you could please look into that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor, I have, I'm so sorry. There was one more item that we didn't address, and I'm going to say real quickly, can we open the meeting real quickly just so I can, it's part of what we just stated, but it wasn't clear. The separate item is that every time there's a project that's completed, can we have a report in our staff packets so we get to see the completed report of the projects that we give out? Is that something we can do, Sam?
Yes, we do that right now with our construction projects, but do you want to do it as well for task orders?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Ricardo.
That clock doesn't work.
Is it off?
It says
Oh, you're
8
right.
o'clock.
It is.